So very good evening to all of you. And a very good evening to my online students as well. How are you guys doing? Doing good? So it's so good to see you back in the classroom, in the workshop. The bigger reason for happiness is not because we are having the workshop, but to see your enthusiasm. And you know very well that prelims is very important for UPSC because that's the gateway to mains. But mains is extremely important because that gives you rank. So if somebody tells you to select between prelims and mains, which is more important, I know that question almost like appears as if, whom do you value more, your mom or dad? So that is the kind of question. Both are important. Without one, the other's impact is little less. So both are important, but today we decided to have a session for answer writing because it's a very long-term process. Now, answer writing has a structure, right? And as I was taking a lot of lectures with you guys in GS, can we increase the volume? And as I was taking lectures with you guys in GS and various other programs, one common thing where I felt that some self-training is required is answer writing. And I believe that for answer writing, one should not directly jump into any classes. I feel that it should be self-taught up to a certain level. And after that, once you have given your best in terms of all the tricks and all the structures that I suggest you, then if you feel that you are not able to continue with answer writing or you're not able to get command over it, then you should take individual help wherever you want. But I believe that self-study is the best study, and one should do anything possible to go for self-study first. Try your best, give it your shot. And if things don't work out, then you should take help. So this session actually will empower you to design a self-study kind of pattern for answer writing for GS 1, 2, 3, 4. My focus today would be on GS 2 and little bit on GS paper 3. The reason being that I wanted to talk about two things today. One about answer writing, which we will discuss extensively. And the second is how to integrate current affairs in answer writing. That is also very, very important. So as I can see that you have the link to the handout to my online students. So please use the link and you please download the handout. And for you guys, I'm supposing that you have the handout with you. We will start using it in some time. But before that, I want to give you some ideas, the preliminary idea, basic idea about answer writing. Since it's a very focused kind of session, so we will not waste time. I have designed the session in various stages. Stage 1, I will ask you to write an answer in front of me. So online and offline, please try and write an answer. I'll give you the question. Stage 2, you keep that answer handy so that when I start to tell you how to write answer, you please compare and see that where did you start today. Even if you have trained yourself through various videos or classrooms, etc., you can still try it out because there is always a scope to learn something, isn't it? So I would suggest that when I give you the question, we'll time it and we would try to complete the answer exactly the way we write the answer in UPSC. So in that stipulated time, 6 to 7 minutes or 8 minutes, let's see how much time I give you. So based on that, whatever comes to your mind, I have selected a very easy question which literally everybody knows. So that answer you have to write and keep it as a benchmark. That's your starting point. And I assure you that if you work hard, and the very fact that you are here online as well as offline for this session, where instead of coming to the class, you could have gone out and watched a movie as well. You could have gone out for a coffee, but here you are in the classroom online and offline. That surely means that your focus is right there in the direction in which you want to build your career. So I don't need to tell you that you need to work hard because you're already doing that. That's the reason you are here. So let's not waste time. Let me show you the question. And after that, we will talk about how to go for answer writing. So the question that I have in mind for you is very simple. It is this question from last year. Right, so this is last year, 2024 UPSC Mains GS paper 3. The reason for selecting this question because it's very easy and it's very simple and you don't need to have any prior preparation. You can write it. You can write something about this. So this is 150 words and I'm going to give you exactly 7 minutes to write this answer. Or let's say 1 minute for brainstorm, 7 minutes to write this answer. And I'll time it. I'll tell you that yes, no, you don't need to write in the chat box. Take a piece of paper, and if you have the handout, you can use that. If you're not carrying any notebook, go to the last page of the handout. I have attached some blank sheets. If you are carrying your notebook, even better, so that you can have it recorded. So you please open your notebooks if you have it. If you don't have it, use the last page of the handout. Please open it and let me time it for you. And I'll tell you later on why it is important. And by the way, I also want to tell you that the programs that I take, like current affairs, etc., etc. So whenever we do answer writing practice, we do it in a timed manner. In all the programs that I take. So this is a workshop. I'm not treating it like a workshop. I'm gonna treat it as if it's a class where we have to productively learn something before we leave the class. It's very important to be serious and have serious and honest approach in these kind of exams. So guys, I suggest you also take it very seriously, as if it's a class and you are going to be involved exactly like that. So here starts your time. Let me read the question for you. Whatever comes to your mind, please write. So the question says, what are the causes of persistent high food inflation in India? So they are saying that why food inflation is high in India. Why sometimes you see that price of rice, wheat, cereal, pulses, tomatoes, onion, potatoes are high. It's not about GS, it's about general knowledge, I guess. Anybody knows it. We all are affected by that. Whatever comes to your mind, even if you have not prepared, you can write that part. Second part says comment on the effectiveness of monetary policy of RBI to control this type of inflation. What is monetary policy? You would have heard that sometimes RBI changes interest rate. Sometimes interest rate goes up, sometimes interest rate goes down, sometimes RBI prints more currency, sometimes less currency. Does it have any direct impact on food prices? So, for example, if RBI changes the rate of interest, will the tomato seller say, oh, RBI has changed the rate of interest, I'm going to sell you cheaper tomatoes? Will it happen directly? That you have to write. So, think in terms of common sense. This is your question, and your time starts now. 1 minute to think. Just think. Do not outrightly write. Please think. Brainstorm, please. And if you have not learned monetary policy, no problem. In some time, I will teach you the basics of answer writing. So don't worry, you will also learn a lot. So let's but first do this kind of exercise. So to my students who are watching it on YouTube, I I'm sure that you're also trying it. And I guess handout has been given to you, so you can keep it for use after half an hour. All right. So now you can start your writing part. 7 minutes. Even with limited knowledge, please try. So give your best, guys. Whatever comes to your mind, the best that you can write, please give your best. Right. Got your writing, guys? So it's almost 4 minutes. Take the question seriously, please, and give your best. So 2 more minutes. Okay, very nice. AG and 1214. All right, noted. Good. It would happen in real UPSC exam as well in mains that there might be a question which you might not have prepared. And suppose it is this question. So don't leave it blank. Take it very seriously as if it's a do and die situation where you have to write it if you want to crack the exam. Writing? Good. Okay, last few seconds. No problem. Even if you have not studied this, whatever you could write, that should be good. Because the idea is not the content, the idea is something else in today's workshop. The idea is to learn how to write. Content you can get anytime. Content within a month, you'll be a pro in monetary policy and inflation. No problem. Okay. So last 10 seconds. And the time is up. So I want to ask you something, guys. How many of you feel that you are satisfied with what you thought you will write and what you wrote? It's not about knowledge and content. See, knowledge and content will come to you at the end of your preparation cycle. That wouldn't be a problem at all. I promise you this. But tell me honestly, suppose you thought I will write 10 points Could you write 10 or could you write half of what you thought? What is your feeling? Are you satisfied? No. So did you get a feeling that it's not about knowledge and content all the time? Ask people who have this content ready, but still they will tell you that they are not satisfied. And we have some of your friends online who just informed me that they wrote mains 2024 and they said that they could not get very good marks in the exam as well, and they are right here. In fact, as I was coming to take your workshop today, right outside this lecture hall, there was a student from J1 batch. He got a 242 rank this year, so in the current batch. So he was telling me this. So he was telling that these workshops, we remember that we used to attend, nostalgic feeling. So I asked him, because fortunately he was right here, so I asked him that, how did you do answer writing? He said, sir, long-term plan. So answer writing is always long-term. Even if your content is not ready today, don't worry about the content. I assure you that within next 5 to 6 months, you will have so much of content that the problem will be problem of plenty. Instead of problem of none, it will be a problem of plenty. So let me tell you why exactly we did this exercise. Bahut dhyan se dekhiye, it's very important. There starts your answer writing part. The answer writing session for which we have come here starts right now. Read this question, please. This question says, what are the causes of persistent high food inflation? So I'm not teaching you the basics. I'm just telling you first that how to identify the keywords. Then I'll tell you my structure of doing. Basic thing. So whenever somebody reads a question, the first reaction should be to find out how many parts of the questions are there. So let's identify how many parts are there in the question. That's the most basic thing that we should do in answer writing. Nothing else. No formula, no big things in life, just pure and simple. How many parts are there? Let's count. It says, what are the basic causes, or what are the causes of persistent food inflation in India? Actually, this is the first question. Second question says, comment on the effectiveness of monetary policy of RBI to control this type of inflation. So there are two parts or two questions. One is cause and the second is remedy. Remedy means solution by RBI. But in remedy, they have specifically said that discuss the monetary policy and tell us that is it good way or good method to control this type of inflation. The first part, UPSC could have easily asked a question, what are the causes of high food inflation? Persistent. Persistent would mean that there is something which is not leaving us. It's bothering us. So whenever something becomes persistent or something is there since very long, ages and ages, it is troubling us. That means the problem is not seasonal. The problem is structural. Structural would mean that whatever be the problems which is leading to high food inflation, it's deep rooted and it has affected us in such a way that it's not leaving us. So UPSC is looking for that kind of reasons which is making the inflation structural in nature or rigid in nature. Why this rigidity? That's what they want to know from us. Which means that you will have to write two kinds of points here. One, the immediate points. So for example, monsoon has created a problem, or last year, suppose some crops were destroyed because of flood, something like that, for example. These are immediate causes, but then there are structural causes. Like in India does not have good storage, good, transportation facilities, packaging facility, refrigeration facilities. These things are missing. These are the structural problems. They are called as structural bottlenecks. These are called as supply side bottlenecks. So UPSC wants those kind of terms which is very specific to this type of question. Second part, absolutely. Second part says, comment on the effectiveness of monetary policy. Always remember a rule. There is nothing black and white in policy. So for example, if you adopt a policy, it might not work directly. But yes, indirectly, everything is connected. So even if you are going to be very, very blunt in this question by saying that monetary policy does not give us the result, you can. But then you will have to write at least one line which shows that directly it will not, indirectly it just might through some way, but directly no. So nothing in this world, example, nothing in this world is in isolation. If RBI is doing something, it might not have a direct impact. But what if I prove to you that indirectly it does through just one line? So 99% answer of this question will be no, it does not. It does not help us. That 1% point is indirectly it might, or it might have an impact. That's it. And then we can say that hence our focus should be on the direct part. Indirectly, this will help us indirectly, but indirectly is not going to give result. So we should adopt the direct methods of reduction of food inflation. This is how you argue. This is basics. So if you don't have any formula, or if you don't have anything in the mind that how to go for answer writing, you will approach like this, which is correct. But what if I tell you that there is even a better way than this? This, whatever I told you right now in last 10 minutes is good. You can use it. But then it might not be the best way to write answer. The best way to write answer is something else. And there is no single best way. I can tell you my best way. Somebody can tell you their best way. So if you are attending this session, please don't be biased. Please don't say that others are not giving the right thing to you. You can get the right thing at 20 places. But today, whatever we are going to discuss will help us. The reason being that at some level, somewhere I have connected with you previously, either through GS class or whatever different kind of classes like current affairs or interaction. Hence, I know the style in which you are preparing. So this has been designed specifically for those students with whom I have interacted. I know your preparation style. I know the way you are studying. So I thought that why not have a workshop so that your preparation and this style of answer writing can go together. That's the purpose. Chalo, let's start with the real strategy. Now let's come back and let us see what all we have to do. So first of all, basic idea, if you are very new, because many of your friends online and offline already told me that you are attending this kind of session for the first time, you have just started your preparation. So for you, absolute beginner, and that is the reason we have met today in the workshop, that we'll start from level 0 and we'll try to see how far we can go. So this is the absolute basic level. This is how you will get the answer sheet. It's there at the last page of your handout. So even if you don't have it, no problem. You can clearly see this. So this is how the answer sheet looks like. We call it one page of the answer sheet. All right. We call it a page. So for example, say page number 1. Now, in one line, typically, you don't need to note this, but just keep it in mind because later on it will help you. One line. So for example, if you write like this is one line. In one line, I have seen generally, having spoken to and seen a lot of students during preparation, that you write typically 80 to 90 words in one line. Somebody with a small font size might write 100, somebody might write 70, but 80 to 90 is something which I have seen. So let's take it to be 80 to 90 in one line. In one page. In one line, it is 8 to 9. 8 to 9 words. 8 to 9 words. And then in one page, you write 10 lines. So one line, 8 to 9 words. Total 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Typically, I have seen that people write 10 lines. So in one line, you are writing 8 to 9 words, and then you are writing 10 lines. So 10 into 8 or 10 into 9, it's 90. So total, you will end up writing 80 to 90 words in one page. For a 10 marks question, you will have to write 150 words. So 150 is the limit given for a 10 marker, and for 15 marker, 250. So when you have to write 150 words in one side, one page like this, if you're writing approximately, let's say example, 80 words. So how many pages will you write? You will write 1 and 2 pages. Because 2 pages would mean, I've got this, I think. 2 pages would mean 80 words and 80 words. So 80 plus 80, 160. There is the first question that comes to the mind, that if you are writing a 10 marker, for example, let's say 10 marker you are writing for 150 words, how many words can you go maximum? So maximum, how many words can you reach? So can you write for a 10 marker where 150 word is expected, can you write 200 words? Not allowed. Because if me standing here can tell you that in one page, one can write roughly 80 to 90 words. So if you unnecessarily make your font size very small, examiner will know what you have done. They will know that abnormally you have reduced the font size, which means that number of words that you are supposed to write, you must have exceeded it by a huge margin. So if you try to play like that in the exam, it might be dangerous, because the exam is very specific that they want certain number of words. Now, because if you try to push more words, it would be unfair. That is the almost a conclusion which is drawn. Don't do unfair things. So that's number one. If 150, they are saying that how much can you go? How much leeway can you take? You can go roughly up to 175. 20 to 25 words is the leeway that you can take. So for a 10 marker, you can go from 150 to 175. But then, if you feel that you can write the entire answer in one side only, is it possible? 100% possible. Suppose that you have been given a question and you feel that you can write the entire answer. You do not need more pages, just one page, one side, you can write the entire answer. Or maybe one page plus two more lines on the second page. That's it. So will you get very good marks in the exam? Yes. Yes, you will. Because they are going to look at your content. They are not going to see whether you have filled the pages or not. That's not a university exam. It's different. So in this exam, if you overwrite, they might not prefer it because they have mentioned 150 words. So they want to see a discipline from your side. But if you underwrite, there is no problem till the time you are writing the right content. So if you are putting the right content in one page, nothing better than that. But it will seldom happen. Will it happen often? No, it will not. Sometimes possible. Like in this inflation question, it is possible that you might end up writing the answer in 1.5 page and you will get very good marks. But in general questions, no, you might need 2 full pages. So what should you keep in mind? 150 word can go to 175. These are the things that you should note down if you want. Now, let's come back and see that for a 150 word question, what are you supposed to do in the question? And how much time are you supposed to invest in that question? In which segment of the question? How much time to put? So typically we have seen in GS paper 1, 2, 3, 4 excluded. In GS paper 1, 2, 3, for example, if you look at this type of question where they are giving 150 words, 2 questions are asked. There are 2 types of 150 marker question, 150 words question. What are the 2 types? The first type is where in the question there is only one part. So they will tell you, for example, discuss the importance of good governance for a society. That's it, over. So this is only one part. Discuss the importance of good governance for a society. If there is no good governance, how will the government benefits reach me? If I'm a vulnerable section, or be it anybody, any section of, I'm a student, I'm a woman, I'm an entrepreneur, whosoever I am. If there is no good governance, how will I get the benefits of so many government programs they have created? It will never reach me, right? The system will be inefficient. So this can be a solo question in the exam where you have to write introduction, you have to write body, if possible, one diagram and conclusion. This type of straightforward question. But these days, are they asking this question? No. These days, they are asking different type of question. I'll show you that question. These days, they are asking this type 2 question. So according to me, this is type 1 and this is type 2. And what are we discussing? We are discussing 150 words, 10 markers. So in 10 markers, there are 2 types. One where only one question is asked, and second, where there are 2 pieces of the question. I'll show it to you today from last year paper. So what they will ask you is, for example, they will say, discuss ABC. In the same question, it will be mentioned that how is ABC connected to XYZ? That becomes the second part of the question. So in that question, there will be introduction, there will be a body. But typically, I have seen that whatever is this body is the major part of the question. And this becomes the secondary body of the question. So in a 10 marker, if they're asking a question to you, and this is since last 5 to 6 years I have observed, that this type of question is asked more, where you have to write introduction, you have to write a body of the question. We'll discuss that. And this body is the main body. The second body is like value addition to the question, just one extra point. And then you will have to write a conclusion. Accordingly, I have decided a time frame for this type of question, and I will tell you how to use the time frame. It really helps. I have tried this in last almost like 2-3 years. Since 2-3 years, I have been trying this idea of giving time to paragraphs. That okay, introduction, how much time, how many words? Does it give result? Yeah, it did. It did to a lot of students, and we saw the result this time. We saw the result last time as well. So I have tried this in 2 batches. It has worked. I will tell you, and you yourself will realize why it will work. It's not something rocket science. It's very simple, but it's very effective. It's called discipline. So I'll tell you what. So for example, suppose in the exam, you are getting a type 1 question. And somebody already told me that in these type of questions, 150 words, the time given to me is 6 minutes to write, 1 minute to think. Average. So on an average, in these type of questions, you will get approximately 1.5 minutes to think, brainstorm. Because the moment you get a question, don't start writing the answer. Because it might happen that you might misread the question or could not think the right way of answering. You might think question is this direction, but the question is other direction. So that is the reason that when you read the question, give 1 minute, Don't have that, sort of rush, and don't have that restlessness that the moment I see the question, I'll fire missiles. No, don't do that. ये सब नहीं करना एग्जाम में ना. One has to be very calm. We have seen this problem in many students. What happens is, trust me, I have seen 2-3 types of questions being asked to me from the students who wrote mains, and this was very interesting. So one of the question which was asked to me by students who appeared in the mains was, "Sir, we are always in rush. So how to control that urge? Because we end up writing and then we realize, oh, I should not have written that paragraph, but there is no going back." So what you do in the exam is take 30 seconds, take 1 minute, because maybe it's the chance of your life. Don't spoil it. So take 30 seconds, take a minute, relax, read, plan. Now, what am I going to write? Then go ahead. So here, as you can see, for writing 6 minutes, thinking 1 minute. Now, how do you use this 6 minutes? That's the whole magic. So see, introduction, I'll tell you later on how many words. Introduction, don't spend more than a minute. It might happen that the question is very typical, and suppose that you are not able to think how to begin. It becomes very difficult. You meet somebody and somebody tells you, introduce yourself. If they would have directly asked us the job that, hey, have you done this job, in half a minute we would have told. But when you meet somebody and somebody says, please introduce, and don't overspeak, very difficult question. And if somebody says, talk about your neighbor, we can speak for hours and hours, but talk about yourself, very difficult. So here you have to talk about this question, and you have to think what to write. It might create a problem. Please don't take more than a minute. So 30 seconds you should think, 30 seconds you should write. Whatever comes to your mind, write it. And exactly in a minute, you should practice like that exactly in a minute, stop. If you do not stop, I'll tell you what will happen. If you do not stop right in a minute, you will compromise the body. Because this question will not give you more than 7 minutes. So if you're writing more than a minute here, no problem, you can. But then the 3 + 1 minute which you have here, which means 3 minutes for body, 1 minute for diagram. Either diagram will be compromised or body will be compromised, because you will be given marks for this portion. So if you exceed 1 minute here and you are not timing yourself, you are thinking, "Theek hai, I will write, big deal." Today it might not be a big deal. One day it will be a big deal. So 1 minute for this, 3 minutes for body, 1 minute for diagram, flowchart, data, table, whatever is there. So 3 + 1, 4. So 4 minutes for this body, 1 minute for introduction, 5. The moment it becomes 4 minutes, stop. And that is why I was timing you. We will write another question, and there we will see the timing method. So exactly 4 minutes, stop. Your mind might tell you, please let me write 2 more lines here. Tell your mind that if I do that, conclusion will be compromised or next question will be compromised. And if I compromise a full question, 10 marks will become 0. But if I just compromise maybe 2 lines, which I could not write, no problem. But compromising a full question next time, big mistake. So 1 minute stop, 4 minutes stop, and then you come to conclusion, 1 minute. Whatever comes to your mind in 1 minute, whether right literature, wrong literature, whatever comes to your mind initially, for a few months, 2-3 months, you please stop in 1 minute. The moment you follow this, for like almost 5-6 answers, you will feel very awkward. That is what I have seen in my classes. For the first 5-6 answers, everybody feels awkward. Now, what are we doing? Why are we doing this? Without this also, life is fine. But trust me, with this, life will be even better. The reason being, I'll tell you what, the beauty of this. Suppose I gave you 2 questions and I gave you 14 minutes. And suppose that out of greed that I can write it better, you spend 12 minutes here or 10 minutes here. What will you write here? This will be a weakest possible answer. Because 7 minutes here, 7 minutes here. And what did you do? You spent 10 minutes here because you wanted to write a beautiful answer. But for a beautiful answer also, the maximum marks that you will get will be 5 or 6. For the most beautiful answer, you will get a 6 marks. So out of 10, 6 here. And out of 10, maybe 2 here. What is the total marks you got? 6 + 2, 8. But suppose you follow this time method. Out of 10, you might get a mediocre marks 5 here and 5 here. Imagine what will happen. You just pulled your rank by 100. This is the change that can come. You have to learn this art. So that's number 1. Okay? So as I told you that this type 2 type of questions I'm seeing more. Chalo, let's do sort of more detailed analysis of this. Ye dekhiye. So this is how you have to write your 10 markers. Kaise? How do you write your 10 markers? We will practice this. So this is your introduction. So this is a basic format which I strongly suggest that you follow for next 3 months, because as I was taking my GS lectures in the batches this year, I was getting one query and one discussion which I was doing inside and outside the class, that when to start answer writing. I am very new, I am a beginner, what to do about it? Either I don't have content, or even if I have content, I don't know what to do. Or maybe I have written mains, I never knew how to improve that area. So for every query, this is your solution. For next 2 to 3 months, you have to follow this. Later on, I can tell you that where are the areas where you can be little lenient also, but abhi ke liye to you have to be very disciplined. I'll give an example. Introduction, 30 words. I'll show to you how. Introduction, you should try to wrap up in a 10 marker. So if you're getting a 10 marker, you should make sure that you do not write the intro of the answer, which is more than 30 to 40 words. That should be your limit for next 3 months. Do not write more than 30 to 40 words, please. So, yeah, please. So 30 to 40 words, huh? Now, body of the answer. Bacho, see this? Body of the answer, 100 to 120 words. So which means that if I take 30 here, and if I take, for example, let's say 120, the higher side. So 120 plus 30, 150. I have already reached the limit. Conclusion, 30, 20 to 30 words. And I told you, you can go up to 175, 176. Done. This is the maximum that you can go. So ideally, you should try between 100 to 120 words, body of the answer, conclusion 30 words. Now, I want to ask you a question. Suppose that this type of question is asked to you where there is body 1 and there is body 2. There are two parts of the question. Not one question, but there are two questions in a 10 marker. So how will you write? What will you change here? Will you change the introduction ka 30 words? Impossible. Introduction cannot change. So introduction, you will write 30 words, 1 minute. Conclusion is also fixed, 30 words, 1 minute. This cannot change. And you should not change this. What will change? This. What will happen here? It will be split into two parts. So if you read the question, bacho, be very careful on this. If you read the question and feel that the two questions which are asked are equally important, and that judgment has to come from you. If you feel they are equally important, then the answer becomes 60 words, 60 words. But if you read the question and you feel one part is more important, the other is less important, then instead of doing this, you will have to do something like 40 and 80. Which means you will decide the split based on the importance of the question, that how the question has been framed. There comes your own judgment. Now comes the diagram part. While you are doing all this, in a 10 marker, I strongly suggest do not draw more than one diagram. Don't do it, please. Because if you try to draw over, representation of diagram, fill too much of data, too much of report, etc., it destroys the soul of the answer. So too much of fact, too much of data is also very dangerous. So what you have to do is, I'll show it to you through some examples today. I've got the examples. It's all there in your handout. I'll open it here as well. That how do you write an answer with data? How will you write an answer without data? And what is the difference? I'll show it to you today so that you get a real feel of the exam. So what do you do? Introduction, do not change. This is the most basic thing that you should learn. Introduction, do not change, please. 30 to 40 words. Conclusion, 30 to 40 words. Fatapat, please tell me, in one line, how many words do you write normally? Count your number of words, 8 to 9. 8 to 9, how many lines should you write here? 3 to 4. That's it. 3 to 4 lines here, 3 to 4 lines here. It's set. And then whatever number of lines are there, you should write here. Chalo, let's do one more. Now let's see 250 word. You draw this, please. It will help you. This will help you to create the discipline. So please write the 250 words and 15 marker. This is 15 marker. And this is how the questions are asked in the exam. So you will see in the exam that whenever a 15 marks question is asked, there will be two parts. One part is very apparent. Since last 5 years, this is the trend. The second part is hidden. But there are two parts. Even if you feel there is one part, there will be two parts. And your job will be to identify what is that second part. Because in a 15-mark question, you will always see one prominent part and one more part attached. So See, intro 30 words, we have not changed it, right? And this is conclusion 30 words. We are not going to change it. 30 words, 30 words. You can make it 40 also, 40 also. And then you have to tell me how many minutes am I going to assign here? 1 minute. Well, the rule has not changed. We keep our life simple. We don't complicate. So this is 1 minute, 30 words. Conclusion, 1 minute, 30 words. And I'm sure that you are having that inflation wala question with you. Awesome. Right. So 1 and 1. Now let's come back here. Body, first body of the answer. Body plus diagram. In a typical 15-mark question, you will see that there will be a scope to draw 2 diagrams. If your mind is going fast in the exam and you can draw 2 diagrams, do it. But don't put too much pressure in your mind to unnecessarily create the second diagram. If you feel that I cannot create the second diagram because my mind says 1 diagram is okay, then you only go for 1 diagram. But if your mind says that no, I can create the second diagram, then you can create a second diagram for the second part of the body. Very normal diagram you can create. I'll show you some diagrams also. I've got so many things today to show. So what do? Body plus diagram. Take approx. And when I write 100 words, it doesn't mean 100. It could be 80, it could be 90, it could be 100. This is the maximum. You don't cross this. So take between 80 to 90, 90 to 100, something like that. Similarly, second body plus diagram, again go for this. And what is the time? See, we have done equal split because this is a 15 marker. And in a 15 marker, you generally see that the split is equal. How will this come? In biology, there is something called as muscle memory. If you do something for a long period of time, like 3 months, 4 months, 5 months, if you keep doing this, one day, what will happen is the acumen that you're going to develop is the moment you start writing answer, the moment you write introduction, your mind will tell you, hey, looks like I have crossed 1 minute. Yeah, it will come to you automatically. And plus, there is another way. Acha, yaad hai aapko? Like almost like 500 years back, nobody had clock, nobody had these watches that we are wearing on the wrist and all. People used to look at nature to understand what is the time, how much time they have spent. But same thing, if they could do it, our forefathers, great forefathers, we can do it too. How do we do it? So the moment I write 3 lines, I will understand 30 seconds I must have thought. Then I wrote 3 lines, introduction over, 1 minute gone. This is how I know 1 minute is over. You cannot write more than 3-4 lines in introduction more more than a minute. It will take you more than a minute to write more. 3-4 lines you can write in 1 minute with proper thought process. That's how you know. So a muscle memory will come to you. And if you write more, no, your muscle will tell you, your mind and hand will tell you, something is missing. I'm writing more. So this has to come through practice. So initially you clock it, later on cover it, don't need this and have the confidence. So introduction 30 words 1 minute, conclusion 30 words, body 3 plus 1 minute. 1 minute for diagram if you want to create something. I'll show you. And again 1 minute for diagram and 3 minutes for the body. This is how the 15 marker is there. Ab dekho, see. So let's start without wasting time with a question. Now I'll tell you which page to open, and please do not open any other page. Please open that page only so that we can do the same exercise. This will be fun to do because you will have to do something live with me. Page number 7. Page number 7. To my online and offline kids, please open page number 7. This is that question and answer which I have written. I want you guys to do one thing. This is a 10 marker. Please read the introduction of this question. I'll read the question. I'll give you some background of the question also because we have just started. I'll give you some basic idea about what the question is. This is introduction. This is conclusion. For introduction, you have to give a marks out of 1. So 1 is the total marks for introduction. I want you guys to read this after I give you the idea, and I want you to put some marks. So for example, if you feel it's a great introduction, out of 1 you can write 1. Or if you feel it's a weak introduction, out of 1 just give 0.5. So you decide. So you have to mark out of 1. So this is the total marks. Yahan pe you will write your marks. That how much marks will you give me if you are evaluating my answer. That's 1. Second, this is the body of the answer. So body 8 marks, introduction 1 mark, conclusion 1 mark. total 10 marks. How do you give marks in the body of the answer? You have to give me marks for content. Total marks is 7, and for presentation, flow, and whether you can read it properly or not, 1 mark. So you have to give me marks for content here, for the body part, out of 7, and you have to give me marks out of 1 for presentation. So you can create a circle here, and in that circle, you please give me some marks. At the end, you will have to add this and tell me out of 10, how much would you provide? And be brutal. The reason being that UPSC will be like this only. After we do this, same question I have written in another way. And it is on page number, don't open it, but it is on page number 8. Same question in a different way. So there you have to mark me again. And I want you to find the difference. So to my online kids, guys, you have to keep the handout open. The PDFs that you would have received, there is a handout. So in that handout, you have to open page number 7. So what is this? Let me give you a brief idea about it. The question says, let me show you the question. The question says, explain and distinguish between Lok Adalats and arbitration tribunals. So what do you think is Lok Adalat and this arbitration tribunal? Is this a regular system which judiciary follows, a conventional system of giving justice and solving the cases and disputes? No. It is called as alternative dispute resolution mechanisms. Are these two the only alternative dispute resolution mechanisms? No. There are many more. But UPSC is saying that please explain and distinguish between Lok Adalats and arbitration tribunals, and look at the next part, whether they entertain civil as well as criminal cases. So in a 10 marker, generally, we do not see so many parts. But these days, to test you on a wider horizon, what UPSC has started to do it, aise lag raha hoga na, if you see this question, it's very simple. But in this question, so many things are hidden. First, they want to know something about Lok Adalat. Then they want to know from you what is arbitration tribunals. Then from you, they want to know what is the difference. And then they want to know that what kind of cases are handled by them. So you have to write n number of differences, the type of cases being just one of them. So I'll give an example to you. Suppose I jump the red light today on the road while I'm traveling. I jump the red light. There will be a traffic challan. So who will settle the challan? Will I be called in Supreme Court, summoned by Supreme Court? Will the CGI sit in front of me and tell me that, so mister, you have jumped the traffic challan? We have all the time in the world to discuss with you. No. These are not the cases we should be brought in the front of higher judiciary, because these are not the cases of national or international importance. It can be settled outside the court also. It will reduce the burden of the court, isn't it? So for example, if I call you for a workshop of answer writing for 5 minutes and your travel time is 2 hours, you are coming from Noida and Gurgaon to attend the session of 5 minutes. Why will you come? It is that kind of argument. So what does the judiciary do? Judiciary in India, that's the beauty of judiciary. Judiciary keeps on innovating new mechanisms so that justice can be served, which is acceptable to the society. That's number one. And number two, the justice should not be very costly and time consuming. That is also very important. So what has the judiciary done in India? They have found some unconventional methods, some innovative. So instead of using the word unconventional, we will use the word innovative mechanisms to find out that how to serve justice. But again, mind you, two words are important here. First, it should be acceptable to the society. Right? That's number one. And number two, it should not be very lengthy and costly. Fir to judiciary system is better. So it should not be lengthy, it should not be costly. And second, it should be acceptable. So there are two methods which are being asked here. The one is Lok Adalat, one is arbitration tribunals. Ab dekho, I'll give an example to you. Suppose that somebody, let's say, picks my pocket and takes my pen. Example. And suppose that judiciary says it's a hurtful behavior because it hurt me. Example. Because with this pen, I was supposed to write one exam. It affected my career. It is my private property. You took my private property. I got late in the exam. I could not enter the hall. My career destroyed. I'll file a case against you. You mean anybody who did that. But for this, I should not be called in the Supreme Court and I should not put a burden on the court. So for example, suppose that there is a mechanism which tells me that, hey, you can go and do the outside the court settlement also with that person. And whatever punishment you feel, that the person should be given, you can argue about that. But outside the court. But outside the court, who will be the person who will listening to me? The people who are connected to judicial system. And those are the people who will listen to me. But then there is a problem. Suppose these kind of mechanisms of lok adalat, where I am taking small cases like small civil cases, small criminal cases, etc. I'm taking these cases in front of them, but then the lok adalats are held only, let's say, once in a month or once in 6 months. It doesn't serve the purpose. So what has happened over a period of time, looking at all these realities, that there might be a civil case, there might be simple criminal cases which might not have, let's say, a punishment of more than 3 years in terms of putting you behind the bar. So those are called as simple cases, compoundable cases, simple cases. But if I'm getting a life sentence or imprisonment, those are not simple cases. That cannot be taken in the lok adalats. So which means simple cases, civil and criminal. And there is a benchmark also, that what should be the magnitude of the punishment which a lok adalat can provide. So within these things, within these parameters, the system of lok adalat was created. Later on, it was found that some lok adalat should become permanent and some should be temporary. Some lok adalat should be held more regularly, like traffic challan. It should be held more regularly. So now you have evening lok adalats. Earlier it used to be morning. And then you have some disputes related to electricity bill, water bill. This will happen on everyday basis. So lok adalat became permanent also. So there are some continuity in the lok adalat, which is public utility, like electricity bill and water bill. So you have evening lok adalat for traffic challan, started recently. And you have another lok adalat, which is for public utilities. And then there are ad hoc. So which means that temporary, they will be created, let's say, once in a month, once in 2-3 months, and done. So there are different types of lok adalat. Then lok adalats are created by state government, by at center level. So at various levels it is created to settle the disputes outside the conventional court system. What is arbitration? I'll give an example to you. So let's say that you took a PG on rent. What did you write in that agreement that you made with the landlord? So you said that while I leave the PG, I need my advance back. And the landlord said that, and I need my fan and light to be intact. Because when you took the PG, they gave you the fan and the light and the AC and everything. They want their furniture to be exactly in that position. And it is written in the agreement that if the landlord does not provide your advance back, or if you do not return the PG in the same condition that you took the PG, then you can write in that contract that you both will agree to appoint an arbitrator, right? You don't need to go to court. An arbitrator will sit, which is acceptable to both of you. It will be written in the contract who is going to settle this problem. But suppose that, nothing happens and you get your advance back and the fan and the light, everything is fine. There is no need to do these things. But in case you are leaving the PG and the landlord says, I will not give you your advance which you had given me. 2 months advance you gave me, I'm not going to return, which is so common. And then you will ask them, why are you not giving? He says, fan looks dirty. You will say, okay, I'll clean the fan. Then the person tells you that the light is not giving the same kind of effect which it was giving 1 year back. You'll say, I changed the light, but return my money. But the person tells you, neither I will return your money, nor I will accept this fan and light. You change fan and light also, and I will not return your money also. Wow. Then you will call the arbitrator. You will say, let's discuss. Because it's written in the contract that both of you had pre-decided that if there is something which happens in future, then arbitrator will be called. But suppose that in India, there is a system of arbitration where only somebody who was a part of judiciary, a proper judiciary, let's say a retired judge, example. Suppose only a retired judge can become, or a serving judge, example, could become arbitrator. That's a problem because we do not have enough number of professionals who are there to handle these cases. That's the reason that arbitration was developed, because we feel that the conventional judiciary system does not have the time and the men and the people and the resources. So which means that in a developing country like India, which is big, huge population, huge complications, globalization, Indian people have relations abroad. One company which I create in India, we have a branch abroad. There is a fight, domestic fight, international fight, so many issues happens. So don't you feel that arbitration should be designed in such a way that it should serve the purpose of giving justice outside the conventional court system without too much dependence on the professionals who are already a part of judiciary? So for example, if I say that, okay, this type of contract arbitration which has been signed will only depend on the judges who are retired. But if the number of retired judges or who are available is less, and I'm not getting anybody to solve the problem, I have to leave Delhi because I have surrendered my PG. I want my money back. I want to leave. I'm not getting any arbitrator. This is not good. So these are the kind of very basic. I gave you a very quick summary of this. If you want to speak on this, we can speak for 2 hours. But I gave you just a very quick summary that what are the kind of cases that Lok Adalat will handle: civil cases and compoundable criminal cases, where the punishment is not very high, etc. Normal criminal cases. And what kind of cases arbitration handles? Civil and commercial cases, both domestic and international. Now, we have seen these basic ideas. Important point. Which out of these two in your mind is more formal? I'm just asking a simple question. Which do you think is formal system? Which you feel is informal also, like normal talk can also solve the problem? Formal would be Lok Adalat. I gave you some hints about arbitration. That in arbitration, you are looking for some professionals who are retired judges, etc. Right? So which means that where the law will come, contract theory will be enforced and all these things, arbitration. And in Lok Adalats, for example, you have to settle the traffic challans. You are going in front of a judge who is sitting in the Lok Adalat in the evening in the Delhi court. The judge will say, why did you jump the light? You will say, I'm a student. I had to go and, appear in the class. I had to go for the workshop. Judge will also smile at you and say, yes, I had also attended this workshop long time back. Right? Is it formal or informal? It's highly informal, right? So it's informal. It's not that formal, right? So these are the kind of things that we can look for. Now, having known this basic idea, why did I give you the basic idea? Because this topic might not have been taught in your GS classes as of now. It will be taught in future. So what you need to do is, based on the story I told you, just read this answer and try to evaluate and give me marks. Whatever you feel is the right marks you want to give, and be brutal. Don't be lenient. So read this, please, page number 7. And how will you give me marks? You will give me marks based on these parameters, which I have written. Here. For introduction, you have to give me out of 1, then body, and then conclusion. Do it, please. And to my students who are watching me online on YouTube, so guys, I'm sure that you must be having the handout, page number 7. I suggest that you also start marking me. And I'll take all your questions at the end. So whatever doubts will remain about answer writing, I'll definitely help you. But do it first, please. Done? Just because I'm your faculty, don't give me high marks. Your friend is so sweet. Your friend is saying you will get 9 marks. For this, you will give me 10 out of 10. Okay. Mark me separately. I could have written a bad answer also, but I wanted you to see that even the thing which you feel is the best can be improved. See this, please. Okay. So I can see one of your friend, introduction, conclusion, you gave me high marks. In the body, you deducted some marks. Average that I'm seeing is above 6. Above 6? Am I getting above 6 everywhere? Or 6? 5? 4.7? How did you mark me for introduction? That's an interesting thing. How much did you give me for intro? And anybody who will give me above 6 will get a chocolate, digital chocolate from me. Now tell me. For intro? 0.25. And for conclusion? No, you have to give me for content out of 7. 4. And for presentation? 1.5. And for conclusion? 0. 0. It's never 0. So in conclusion, the least that you can do is 0.1, let's say. One of your online friends has also given me 4.6. So now you have to tell me, what do you feel is a problem here? What do you feel is the problem? Absolutely. So your friend is saying introduction is very sort of generic. Very generic. So obviously, one of our friend is saying that you did not mention the article of the Constitution. Again, good point. So looks very nice in terms of literature, but then substance might be improved. So your friend is saying that you should have mentioned something from constitution, or you should have mentioned something technical which should have given the tone for the answer, that from where did Lok Adalat come, from where did arbitration principle come. Nothing is mentioned, no background, nothing, directly started. Okay, I agree to this, that there could be a better introduction. Second, what is there in the body, what problem is there? So your friend is saying that in one or two lines I should have written, because ultimately constitution, judicial system, everything is there for people. So unless you involve people and tell that how is it helping or how is it not helping, how is it impacting the society, that part is missing. Okay, point noted. Repetition is one thing. Then one of your online friends said that current challenges should be mentioned somewhere. Then one of your friend is saying that the comparison does not look homogeneous. That's also correct. Means somehow I have written it. Right? This is brutal. This is how UPSC would mark you. Then one of your friends says that looks very complicated. Right? But this is a technical question. It has to be like that. Wow. I mean, amazing. One of your friend caught this most important part. Okay, cool. What else is there? I have not mentioned any examples. Your friend is saying somewhere can example to de do. You should give some example. Absolutely. What else is there? Okay. Writing. Highlighting. Highlighting is missing. It should be highlighted also. That's also correct. Usko niche kar dijiye. Can you the messages? There. All right. Keywords are not underlined. As you were saying, highlighting is not there. Very nice. Your friend is saying that one of your online friends said that credible source of 5 crore cases, etc., not mentioned. Very good. You know answer writing. You guys are good, because I thought there will be 5 problems. You pointed out 25. Right? You guys are really good. You are very brutal also. All right. Now let's go to the same question in a slightly different manner. Read it, please. Read it, please. Page number 8. Page number 8 in your handout. Read it, please, and tell me what is the difference. Some changes are there. And you have to give me marks. And you have to identify what is the biggest change which you missed out in the first question. There is something else. Your online friends pointed out. 2 of your online friends pointed this out. Second part of the question is missing in the first answer. So you see this answer. Dekho, right? Let's read the question again. Brilliant point. Very nice. So question says, explain and distinguish between Lok Adalats and arbitration tribunals, whether they entertain civil as well as criminal cases. That's the second part. Where did I write the second part? Did I write a dedicated second part in the previous answer, page number 7? I did not. I mixed everything. That is why it was complicated. But here you see the introduction, body, first body and the second body. Because there are 2 parts of the question. But in the previous answer, we addressed everything by mixing things in a very confusing manner. We did not segregate it properly. This has to be written. Then you have a conclusion. Dekh lo, what are the 2 parts of a question, bacho? Please see. It says first is distinguish between Lok Adalats and arbitration, and second says whether they entertain civil and criminal cases. So that part is not written on page number 7. Civil and criminal part is separately not written. That's not good, because I did not address the question. I will not get marks. The marks that I will get in the exam is not more than 3. 3.5 is the marks I will get in the previous question, because I did not address the question. So did you notice something, the mistake which happened? We were after big things. We missed out on the first most basic thing of answer writing. Count the number of questions. Remember I told you, first thing you should do is count the questions. There are 2 questions here. So what is the introduction? Chalo, let's read the introduction. Introduction says, learn this please, okay? Yes. Introduction says, correct. Introduction says, Lok Adalat and then we have written LA. Now we will use LA everywhere because once we have written the short form. So Lok Adalat and arbitration tribunals 80. We will use 80 everywhere. It saves us time and words. We are saying our dispute resolution mechanisms which aim to reduce the burden of judiciary through timely resolution but with different approach. Why did we write this last part but with a different approach? Because the question says distinguish. And why didn't we write a bulky introduction? We could have written a bulky introduction instead of 25 words, 30 words. But in a 10 marker, there are 2 questions which have been asked to me. It's big. And the moment I read the question, lack of knowledge will not be a problem. I have more points, but I can't write. So what will I do? I'll become little miser in introduction and I will control my emotions. What else will I write in the introduction? Whatever I have to write, I'll write it in the body of the answer. So see, introduction had been adjusted. Why? Because the question, the body of the question is bulky and it is asking for content. They are saying, give me good content. So what do? We reduce the introduction. Ab dekho, in the body of the answer, what are we writing? Lok Adalat, that is people's court, promote amicable settlement of disputes. Amicable means agreeable to both the parties peacefully. And then it is saying under arbitration, civil and commercial disputes, domestic and international, are settled using arbitrators. Which means that there is some person who is coming in between, the arbitrator. Through that, we are trying to settle the dispute. Yahan pe it is amicable through people who are judicial bodies. So ye dekh lo. This is the basic, most basic context of Lok Adalat and arbitration. Without writing too much of complicated. Even I can write complicated things. But then how will I write the difference then? I will not have time and space. So whenever you start the body, do not start to draw the table directly in the exam. Rule of answer writing, you have to introduce the table. That, acha, this is the basic difference between these two. As your friend pointed out somewhere, that whenever you write introduction, thoda little background, little constitution, something you have to give in the question. So that's something we have said, people's court, and then we said amicable, and second is you need arbitrators. Then we gave this difference. Ab dekho the way we wrote the difference. You will not find any sentence to be grammatically complete. Read it, please. So see, statutory body via Legal Service Authorities Act 1987. That's what your friend was saying. That where is the provision? Is it statutory? Is it non-statutory? How did it get its power? We didn't write anything in the previous question properly. Now we are mentioning all these things. Acha dekho, current affairs. What are we writing about arbitration? It's a private quasi-judicial body under Arbitration Conciliation Act 1996. And then in the bracket we wrote proposed arbitration conciliation amendment 2024. So last year amendment came. A bill has been introduced in the parliament. That we mentioned here. So current affairs has been mentioned. One of your friend was saying that current affairs missing in the previous answer. There's your current affairs without literature. Why are we not writing literature? Try writing the literature. Your answer will get 180 words right here in the table. You won't be able to write more than this. So sometimes, and that's the reason that I thought that we should have this workshop. Sometimes you have to compromise on the literature and the grammar just so that you can write the content. But it should not sound absurd. Jaise dekho isko, see what is it? It says, Lok Adalats are statutory bodies. How? Established how? From where is it deriving its power? It is deriving its power from Legal Services Authorities Act 1987. That's it, full stop. No grammar, no literature. If you try to do it, for next part of the answer, you will not be able to write. So next point, see, voluntary submissions during court proceedings or pre-litigation. So either the court proceedings are going on or before you approach the court, you can go to Lok Adalats. And what is this? Arbitration. For arbitration, a contract is signed between two parties on the first day itself. When you are booking a PG, that day only you sign a contract. That if dispute happen, we will go for arbitration. But suppose you don't sign any contract like that, then Lok Adalats. But if you sign a contract, for arbitration. Most simple part we have mentioned without any decoration. Ab dekho yahan, see the way of writing this part, permanent or ad hoc. So Lok Adalat can be permanent or Lok Adalat can be ad hoc. We are not writing literature. If you try to write a literature problem, you won't be able to complete the answer. So permanent or ad hoc. And what are you writing? A dissolved after dispute settlement. That's it. Don't write. It could be permanent or it could be ad hoc and then start giving it. No, we can't do that. So, and how will this come with you? Practice. various types of question, and I have got the sources also today, that from where you should practice, what are the sources, if you want to do it through self study, from where you should make these notes. I have got some live sources which I have got today. It will make your life easy. So if you write this kind of thing and your faculty has shown you in the class that if you write more than this, fear compromise will happen. So don't write more, just keep it here. And then see next part, settlements are final, binding, and cannot be appealed. It's fine, it's final. But here are what are we writing? Awards are binding, but you can appeal in the higher judiciary, in arbitration. Informal in nature, formal based on evidence and legalities. This is how you should write. Achha, next part of the question, see, what are the cases which are entertained by Lok Adalat and arbitration tribunals? Ab dekho the way we have written it. So Lok Adalat handles civil and compoundable criminal cases. This is the first thing, right? And secondly, it does not handle matrimonial cases, because recently there was a talk about it. It came in the current affairs. So we included this point and we are saying that no, even today it does not handle those cases. They are complex cases. And then arbitration tribunal only handles civil and commercial dispute, but we can't write another sentence, so we use a bracket. What do we write in the bracket? Because we want to avoid writing two more sentences, so we use a bracket and simply write arbitration tribunal handles civil and commercial dispute, both domestic and international. So in just a bracket, we wrapped up two sentences. Otherwise, we would have to write that arbitration tribunals handle both domestic as well as international cases. No, we don't need to do that. And then does not involve criminal, family, or tax cases. We are also writing, just like for Lok Adalat we wrote, they don't handle matrimonial cases. So for tribunals we wrote, they do not solve the cases which are criminal, family, or tax related. So here we wrote, what do they do? Here we wrote what they are not doing. Similarly, here we wrote what they are doing and what they are not doing in very crisp manner. This is the second part of the answer. Ab dekho third, which is the conclusion. In conclusion, I don't have words left. I don't have time left for this answer. It's a big question because I have been forced to write so many things by UPSC. So what will I do? I'll keep it very concise. And what will I do? Indian judiciary is burdened with more than 5 crore pending cases 2024. And then you could write that hence, if you want to mention a source, you can mention a source. And then hence we need more innovations like, ab dekho yahan suggestion, positive suggestions, because we can't write a lot of criticism. We don't have time. So we are writing a positive suggestion, which automatically means that this thing is not being currently done in sufficient quantity. So we are writing that. Hence, we need more innovations like evening Lok Adalats and trained arbitrators for alternate dispute resolution. So it has been pointed out that the number of arbitrators in India who are trained in arbitration is very less. So the government is designing new courses also, that if somebody wants to get into domestic and international arbitration, in India, we don't have sufficient personnel for international arbitration. The global changes are too fast. We have not been able to catch up. So what is the government of India doing? Government of India is saying that we will help our institutions, the places where you learn law and legalities, to have arbitration courses as well, separate courses. Wahi to hai, this is what we want. So what have we done? We have in a very mild manner criticized and given solution also, because we don't have much space for too much of criticism. So in this answer, if you have to give marks, how much would you give for introduction? Now considering that you know how much content has to be there. So how much will you give in the introduction? 0.5, because it can always be improved and you know it. Second, in the body, how much will you give content? 4.5. Presentation. Now this presentation is good. The reason being, it addresses, I'll tell you, it addresses, this is where you get marks in the exam. For content, they will not give you full marks, never. Because the examiner will always feel, I wish this kid has written that extra point. But in presentation, what is the meaning of presentation? The meaning of presentation would mean that the flow should be there. Random jump is not expected. Your sentences should give the proper meaning to us, right? And all the parts of the question should be addressed. That's presentation. And you should not have too much of cuts, etc., etc. So for presentation, 1 mark, close to 0.8 or 1. For conclusion, again, there is a scope of improvement, because even here, if you see, if you write 23, 24 without a source, it's not authentic. So if you mention a source, you'll get better marks. So here also, I'll give myself 0.5. This is how marking will be done. So if I write very good conclusion, I'll get 0.7. If I just write the year but I have not written the source, it's like, trust me, what I'm saying is true. I mean, why? So I should have written the source. Which source is telling me that greater than 5 crore case? Something I should have mentioned. So then I will get, instead of 0.5, I'll get 0.7. This is how I should have written this answer. This would help me. So did you notice something here? Very important part. This is what you should take away from this question, the way we have explained. ध्यान से देखिए. It says lok adalat and arbitration tribunals are dispute resolution mechanisms which aim to reduce the burden of the judiciary through timely resolution, but with a different approach. ये क्या जरूरत है? Why is there a need to write but with different approach? Why is there a need to stuff it? How? Because it establishes the connection with the next part. Their approach is different to show to the examiner that there is continuity in the answer. Otherwise, it will look like a jump. So this is your introduction. This is your body. This is your answer. Did you understand this, guys? That's why we took 2 questions. Let's take another question and let's try to solve it first. Yeah. Which one? The first one, the second one? No. So what first one does is it tells you simple things, that the context, that the reason that it is there is to reduce the burden on the judiciary. That's it, full stop. Nothing else is there. Only one point. But look at this. It says, explain and distinguish between these two. Now, instead of giving the table directly, what we are doing is we are giving a background, that one is people's court, which amicably settles the dispute, and the other requires a middle person who will be sitting like a middleman between you two. So that context we gave. So it only says that it reduces the burden, both of them, but it says how it reduces the burden. And then it gives you the technical points. So did you also notice something? That before we write the table, just writing the table is a very blunt answer. It's not a good method. Before you write the table, you have to write 1 or 2 lines that what is going to come in the table, right? And here you should write some connector. This is how you should write your answer. Let's do one more. So, bacho, the next question that we are going to do is this. Again, from GS paper 2 last year, 2024. This is GS paper 2. So you can come to question number 2nd, page number 9. Please come to page 9. This is not a technical question. I am sure you will be able to do it. You have to mark me again, and this is how you have to mark. So let's read the question first. It says, poverty and malnutrition create a vicious cycle. It's very important from UPSC perspective, GS paper 2. Poverty and malnutrition create vicious cycle. Then it says, adversely affecting human capital formation. This is the statement. And then it says, what steps can be taken to break the cycle? Again, this is 150 words. You can say it's a big question, but big question, you have to wrap up in 150 words. Huge content will be there. How will you write this? So I have given one standard answer. You have to read and give me marks. So this is the answer which I gave. Page number 9. Please read page number 9. Guys, read it, please. And this is not a technical question. Anybody having no background also, just started your preparation, you can do it. Read it, please. Intro, body, conclusion. Give me marks. How long? So I think the word limit is okay. That should not be a problem. So you can focus on other aspects. Word limit is fine. All right. So to my students who are watching on the YouTube and to my students who are watching on Zoom platform, you should open the PDF and read it from there, because this might not be visible to you. Absolutely correct. Yes. Please find out as many mistakes as you can. And then you have to give me marks. Okay, I have got the first marks. One of your online friend gave me 3.5. But yes, you were right. The first thing that you pointed out there, your friend, that the body is little bulky, too bulky, too much information, obviously. Hold on, huh? Let's let everyone read. One of our friend is saying too many schemes are mentioned. Answer is not. I thought you were saying answer is not entertaining you. Got it. Got it. Got it. Very nice, Harsh. You pointed out, some of you found out the real culprit in the answer, the real mistake of the answer. Sorry. Not a very suitable answer. Okay. Done? Huh? So how many marks are you giving? Anybody giving me 8 marks here? Body 0.5, 1.5 intro, 0.5 conveyor. Absolutely correct. But who makes a spelling mistake in the first line? So first of all, right. So that's the first thing. Next, whenever you make a diagram, you have to mention below it that what diagram are you making. Like, it doesn't give an idea what am I trying to say. How will examiner understand what did I do here? So that's the second point. Look at the question. What is the question saying? The question says poverty and malnutrition create a vicious cycle adversely affecting the human capital formation. So it is saying whenever something is a vicious cycle, then that means A leads to B, B will again lead to A. So poverty, malnutrition, malnutrition, poverty. This is a cycle which goes on forever. And when these two things are working in the society or economy, poverty and malnutrition, it will create a third problem, which is human capital formation, which means the qualities as an individual that we have, which is skill, education, healthcare, employability, these things will be damaged. So it is saying this in the first part. Then in the second part, it says what steps can be taken to break the cycle? Can be taken. Where are the steps? Instead of steps, we are writing list of schemes. And these are the schemes which government of India has launched. Where are the steps? So in this question, if UPSC gives us, let's say, more than 1 or 2 marks, we should be lucky enough. They will not give marks in this because they will say, first you are making spelling mistakes, then you are not even writing the answer, and then you are writing answer of some other question. Right? What are you writing? List of schemes. It does not mean anything. So in these type of questions, we'll get 1 marks or 2 marks, grace marks. That's it. Because we have misread, and we are writing such bulky answers. It looks as if we are writing an article for PIB. And this is a very bad answer. Is it bad knowledge? No. Extra knowledge is there. But presentation, 0. Body, 0. Introduction, God knows. Problem. So did you see that only knowledge will not help? Yahan pe to knowledge, it shows that whosoever wrote this would have worked really hard, day in and day out. But the problem is question not addressed. Let's read the next part. In the next part, some mistakes are there, and you have to tell me that for the mistakes, how much marks will you deduct? And what are the good things? What are the mistakes? Read it, please. And please tell me. Page number 10. Page number 10. For mistakes, please deduct marks. For good things, please give me marks. And please tell me a final marks, how much you will give me. To my online students, guys, page number 10. Same question. Take it seriously, please. I'll tell you later on how to improve. Some of our friends are asking online how to improve the content. That I'll come to little later. First, I want to tell you what is answer writing. What is a good answer? What is not a good answer? Read it, please. Okay. Absolutely. Understood? So if you look at the introduction here, in the introduction, we have started with a classic spelling mistake. Number two, facts have been mentioned, but yes, but have we actually done justice to this part where the question says poverty and malnutrition affects the human capital formation? Did we use the word human capital formation? Nowhere. So we have written an answer. It shows knowledge, right? It shows good idea about the. It has been asked in UPSC GS paper 2. It's from GS paper 2 actually. But you understand that same type of questions are asked in GS paper 3 also. And you know that best of candidates have not been able to get very good score in GS paper 3. And you know the reason now. Because suppose I'm writing this kind of answer, I'm writing literally everything. I'm writing the global hunger index rank also with all the details proper. But where is the word human capital formation? Because that is the question. That is not there. And then I have drawn a diagram. Right? So it looks as if this diagram has been explained here without the word human capital formation. I should not get very good marks here. I should get hardly 0.5. Just because I as a student have made effort, I might get 0.3, 0.4, but not more than that. Because first of all, the word which is given in the question, I have not been able to establish that connection. So I have not done justice to the question. I have written whatever came to my mind. That's first mistake. Second, you read this, please. It says steps that could be taken to break the cycle. It says improved food security leads to better health outcome, cognitive skill, especially reduce vulnerability of women and children. Example. What else can you write here? Is there a scope in a 10 marker that you can write more? But don't you feel overstuffed with schemes instead of substance? Because if I would have stopped here, fir to fine, but look at the next point also. Same story starts. Here I'm flaunting my knowledge. So see, poverty alleviation, ease of living, financial inclusion leads to better health, education. Again, human capital formation is not there. And that is the question. In the first point, it's not there. Second point, and then example, Awas Yojana, Jal Jeevan Mission, Ujjwala, Swachh Bharat, Jan Dhan Yojana, Swanidhi, PM Vishwa. What am I doing? Just listing the schemes. Factually correct, substance not there. Shows knowledge, but shows more maturity is required. Marks will not be given here because I'm constantly missing the point which is asked in the exam. The point says, how can we improve the human capital formation? That is not mentioned. Examples are never written as main answer. Here, the number of examples are more than the number of points in the answer. In every point, there is 10 example, 8 example. What is the need of doing that? So instead of that, we should have focused more on explanation parts. This is too factual. And third, skill development and employment generation programs lead to employability, livelihood generation, for example. Again, huge number of examples, right? So we have not been able to establish the connection that what steps are required and how the steps will break this cycle. With every step, we should have connected poverty, malnutrition, and human capital formation. That connection is not established in any of the points. And then we are writing health coverage to low-income families, ensuring access to essential healthcare, including maternity. This is the best point. This is the only point where some substance has been mentioned, that health coverage to low-income families, because under Ayushman Bharat, what are we doing? We are trying to provide the health benefit and the cards, Ayushman card, 5 lakh coverage, etc. To which families? The BPL families, families which are at low income levels. We are trying to help them. That is what we have written. And here the example is also only one example. Looks like we have done justice to this point, but look at all other points. It has not been nicely written. It only shows that somewhere I'm stuffing the answer with schemes and data. That's not a good answer. So I have missed out on this part, human capital formation, number one. Number two, I have written so many schemes, unnecessarily writing the scheme, overdose, because there are people who will tell you that write data, write schemes, correct. I also understand. But why should I overwrite it? Somebody says, I love tea and coffee. The whole day you will keep on having tea and coffee, 100 cups, because you said, I love tea and coffee. Don't do that. And look at the conclusion. It says around 25 crore below poverty line population has been pulled out of poverty since 2015. In the bracket, we should have written Niti Aayog report. Source is missing. And then we are writing, but similar efforts are required to tackle malnutrition. A long-term targeted multi-dimensional approach is required to reduce poverty and malnutrition simultaneously during Amrit Kal. So what are we trying to do here? In our limited capacity, we tried to write current affairs, that 25 crore people who were poor have been pulled out. We wrote. But similar kind of result we have not received in malnutrition. Earlier, people were malnourished in India. Now also the figures are same. Poverty we have been able to reduce, malnutrition we have not. Despite the fact that India is one of the largest producer of food grains in the world. Where is that point? Where is agriculture? Where is the linkage of agriculture with human capital formation? India is the largest, top 10 producer of literally everything in terms of agriculture. And yet, hunger index rank, we are the worst. Where is that link? And it directly affects the human capital formation. A sector where 50% of India's population works agriculture, that has not been even mentioned in the answer. So this answer looks like somebody who is a walking encyclopedia has written this answer. But the person does not have good understanding of the society. Because here the person is trying to flaunt the knowledge of economics. Whereas this question has been asked in GS paper 2, so the focus should have been people and society. So it is misdirected question. Are you understanding this? What is wrong in this question? Too much of data, too much of fact. Wherever data is written, no source is mentioned. And more than a society-based answer, it looks like economics-based answer. So knowledge is not the problem, application is a big problem. So I wanted to show you, Abhi, 2-3 things more we are going to do, and then I'll tell you the sources from where you should prepare answer writing. But do you understand that you don't have to memorize too many schemes? Karna hi nahi hai. You have to memorize it slowly over a period of time. You don't have to be obsessed with the schemes to write good answer. In the previous answer also a scheme, here also a scheme. Not a good thing. And look at the point where less scheme is written. It's the most beautiful point. One scheme, but it shows something that, yes, very nice. This is the problem, that in other points, too much of data. So let's come back. Are you noticing what mistakes are we making in the answer? And are you also understanding? Because this question must be there in your mind, that why the students who are in the top 10 in UPSC, the good rankers, their marks in GS paper 3 is very bad. So you must be wondering why. So that's precisely the reason, because of these type of answers. Let's see more, one more. Not answer, but something which we did some time back. This is the question which we did. I'm going to give you the same question again with a little bit of idea that what is inflation, etc. I'll teach this in 5 minutes, and then I'll ask you to write it again. This time using proper timings, like 1 minute for introduction, then 4 minutes, and then 1 minute. So let me tell you what you should write in this question. So for example, bacho, suppose that you are given this question in the exam. This is how you should write. And there are some students online who have written last year's mains. So when we started doing this, they informed me that they could not get very good marks in this paper. So it will help you, it will help them. So let me tell you how to write answer of these kind of questions. Look carefully at the board, please. The moment I told you that we are here for a workshop to learn answer writing, now is the time that we should learn what to do. Pehle we saw what to do, what not to do. Because there are few things we should not do. Don't flaunt knowledge, don't write too much schemes, don't write too much data, write substance. Don't write facts. Your answer should not be dry. But what is the process? So the process is the moment you get the question in front of you, immediately first you should write intro, conclusion, then this formula which I gave you, that you should write 30 words 1 minute, 30 words 1 minute. Why am I designing your session like this? Because I presume that you are trying to learn answer writing from the most basic level. So this is how you should go from the most basic level. This will give you an idea. So first intro and conclusion, and after that you should read the question and check what is being asked. Ye dekhe, the question says, what are the causes of persistent high food inflation? Comment on the effectiveness. So there are two bodies of the question. First is causes of food inflation, 60 words 2 minutes, and the second part, effectiveness of monetary policy, 60 words 2 minutes. Why 60 words 2 minutes? Because both the parts of the question look equally important. When you read the question, you'll get a feeling that the question is saying why India has food inflation, and the second part is saying that the policy used by RBI called as monetary policy does not help. So both the parts are equally important. This is how first you do it. So that 1 minute that you get for brainstorming, in that 1 minute you'll have to do this. Ab dekho, what is the beauty of this kind of approach? The beauty of this kind of approach is, in 1 minute, the moment I do this, now I will look at my time watch and I will say, in next 1 minute, I'll complete the introduction. How to write introduction? This is something which you should know. In the introduction, always remember, bacho, in the introduction, explanations are not written. Do not explain anything in the introduction, because the body of the answer is used for that purpose. So what is written in the introduction? I always give this example in the classes, that when you read Constitution, if you look at the preamble of the Constitution, preamble gives you the introduction to the Constitution. What is written in the preamble? All the keywords which captures the soul of the Constitution is written in the preamble. Have you ever seen in the preamble any big explanation being given, flowcharts being given, diagrams being given? No. I have seen people drawing diagrams in introduction. Why? Who draws diagrams in the introduction? That's totally against the principles of answer writing. Because when you introduce yourself, you don't make their life complicated and stressful. You make their life simple. That's sir, I have introduced the part. How should you write the introduction? Please write, likhe. So some principles to be followed for introduction. So please write, introduction should have the following element. Please write, bacho, in your notebook. Introduction should have the following element. So, bacho, what's the best type of introduction? Which introduction is called as the best introduction possible, which nobody will dispute and everybody will say, wow, what you have done is amazing. So, number one, and we are not writing about GS 1, 2, 3, 4. In general, applies everywhere. So, number one, what should be their introduction? Number one, context. Context. Number one is context. Absolutely. One of your online friends mentioned it. Context. Context means background. So, please write background. Number second, some latest report or trend, report or trend related to the question, related to the question. So, bacho, I'll give an example. Suppose the question says that discuss how poverty is measured in India. And recently, suppose that you read through Niti Aayog report that India's rank in terms of poverty reduction has improved. We have been able to reduce poverty by huge margin. And suppose World Bank has given one award to us. So we can start our answer by saying that in 2024, India has been awarded the best performing country in terms of poverty reduction from 2014 till 2024. Done. This is also one of the best type of introductions because it brings current affairs. Third type of introduction, please write. This is the sequence you should follow. The first is context. Second is the trend or the latest report. Third, definition. If nothing comes to the mind, do not waste time in the exam. Start writing definition that, okay, inflation means consistent rise in price. If nothing comes in the mind, just write the definition part. Next, connect the question with SDG, Sustainable Development Goal. Connect the question with Sustainable Development Goal. So, for example, bacho, if you are getting a question on poverty and inequality, you know that there is a Sustainable Development Goal which says that we should be able to reduce the poverty by half in the next few years, right? That sustainable development goal should be mentioned, that India also follows SDG, where we are targeting to reduce the poverty by half. Hence this. That's it. This is how you could write. Last please write. So if nothing is coming to your mind, neither context, nor definition, nor report, nor sustainable development goal, then how do you write the introduction of the question? I'll give an answer to that. So let's read the question. I'll tell you what to do. This jugaad should also be known to you. So it is written that what are the causes of persistent high food inflation? Comment on the effectiveness of monetary policy. Nothing comes to my mind. I am totally blank. It is humanly possible that it might happen. What will I write? So I will write, don't write. Let me give an example first. So what I'll do is, there is a strict rule of answer writing that you never repeat the question. You never copy directly words from here to the answer. You should never do that, because they will feel you are trying to fool them. And for that, they will penalize you. There are very sensitive people who are checking the answers. So what you need to do is you have to be a little smart, and you have to say, Acha, it is saying that in India, food inflation is persistent, and I have to talk about effectiveness. So I will write that, India suffers from food inflation since decades, and India tries multiple policies to reduce inflation, monetary policy being one of them. This is the worst that we can do. That is why it is the last. You can't leave your introduction blank. So what did we do? Instead of copying the words from here, we created a story in the head that India continuously suffers, being a developing country. Yes, being a developing country. So what are we trying to do? We are trying to avoid copying the words from here, but out of hopelessness and helplessness, we don't know what to do. So we'll stitch all the words that the faculty once said 10 years back. Some video I have heard, somebody was saying something, 10-year-old video, where somebody said India is a developing country. I mean, India has become supposed developed. We'll still write developing. Because in video, somebody said developing country, poverty, inflation. I got it. So what do we do? Likhe, please write that we try to connect constitution, please write constitution, specifically DPSP, fundamental rights, Supreme Court judgments, comma, report by some organization, directly or indirectly, with the question. So now see, I have to write an answer on poverty in GS paper 3. Totally clueless about what to write in the introduction. So I know India is a developing country. I know Constitution says that government of India should take care of the entire population because we are a welfare state. Oh, I know India is a welfare state. India is a developing economy. Government has to take care of every section. Now I will write. What will I write in the answer? I have no clue what I will write, but I'll think like this, that okay, I will write that based on the constitutional principle of DPSP, the government makes effort to control inflation in India. Done. And I'm not wrong, because DPSP tells the government that this is your guideline for governance, where you have to give equal opportunity to everyone and you have to reduce the inequality of various types. Indirectly, I have corrected. So whatever steps the government takes, it has to be in line with the DPSP. So if I write this statement, I will never be wrong. I might not be entirely correct, but I will never be entirely wrong, because I'm connecting governance or steps taken by Government of India with DPSP, Directive Principle of State Policy, right? This is what we should do. So try to find out, if nothing works, at least try to find out that can you connect it to DPSP? Can you connect it to some fundamental right, some judgment of the court, or some report said by any agency? Like World Bank has said that India is a developing economy. India should take care of its vulnerable population if you want to become a superpower. Okay, we'll write this only. This is not a very good type of introduction, because you are forcing yourself to connect things. Examiner will understand this, but they will respect you, because they will say you have not copied the question and you are trying to do something within the domain of your syllabus and policy making. So this is also considered to be one of the good ways. So the last part that you wrote, the verse type of introduction that you will write, is also connected to constitution. How can it be very bad? So think on these lines and you will have to practice. Chalo karte, let's do this. So what are the persistent high food inflation in India causes, and comment on the effectiveness. So we did the intro part. Acha dekho, in body part there is no fixed rule. I will show to you how to write the body. Dekho, before you write the body, you look at the number of words, 150 words and two parts of the question. I want to ask you that there are two parts of the question, 150 words. Can we write big literature in the body of the answer? Is it even possible? It's not possible. How to write such answer? See, I have done something for you. Read this, please. Because I knew that I'm going to take a session with you, you might not have studied the topic. So I've kept my answers to be very simple. So please read the introduction and see what it says. It says food inflation has consistently led to high retail and wholesale inflation, impacting living standards. So first, I have no idea about how to write introduction. I'm a beginner, but I know that inflation is of two types. One which impacts me on daily basis, called as retail inflation, and the inflation which you observe in big mandis where wholesale markets are there. This thing will be taught to you in your GS classes. So I know that food is something which I buy on daily basis. Food is something which is also sold in wholesale mandis. So if food inflation will be high, my daily life will be impacted. And it will be impacted in two ways. One, retail. So every day I go to grocery store, I'll be impacted. More money has to be given out of my pocket. Earlier I was giving 100 rupees. Now I'll have to give 120 rupees. So I have been badly impacted. And second, here also it says that retail and wholesale both are impacted because of food, and living standards are damaged. It is caused by multiple factors. Because I am not trained in answer writing, so I cannot write complicated and technical things at this stage. I told you that we are having this session so that for next 3 months you should know absolute basics of answer writing. So this is called context. What is the meaning of context? Background. What does the background tell us? Background says inflation is of two types. One is retail. Retail means everyday life, and second is wholesale. And you buy food on everyday basis. And what is wholesale? Wholesale means market where huge quantities are sold. There also food is sold. So if food price is high, it will impact retail inflation, it will impact wholesale inflation. This is called context, which means UPSC is saying, why has food inflation been high in India? How has it impacted? And will the policy of RBI work? I am writing a context for UPSC that UPSC see in India, whenever food inflation is high, it hurts these two places, which hurts the people. And there are many factors. This is context. This is called as contextual kind of introduction. Short, sweet, and one of the best type of introduction, which is not complicated. Next comes the main part of the answer. But when I read this part, causes of food inflation in India, something came to my mind in the exam. And since I am a beginner, I do not know what to write in this. So something came to my mind that if I draw a diagram separately, it will take time and space, and it's a 10-mark question. I should not waste time. So instead of writing bullet points, I converted this entire section into this type of diagram. It is called diagrammatic bullet points. So I created a diagram, food inflation. I wrote 4 points, 1, 2, 3, 4. And I have written points in a very crisp manner so that it doesn't look clumsy. Instead of writing bullets 1, 2, 3, 4, I wrote food inflation and I wrote 1, 2, 3, 4. But if you look at the next part, let me show, then I'll read this. Look at the next part of the question, which says effectiveness of monetary policy. I know that this is complicated, and I know that I will have to write a conclusion also. And I knew this will be complicated because it's technical. Anything done by RBI has to be technical. So what did I do? I made this part to be easy so that I can save time and space so that I can write technical thing later on. So did you learn something? You would have learned so far that first of all, the contextual introductions are the shortest. They are not complicated. Second part, in the body of the question, if in a 10 marker, there are 2 bodies of the answer, you have to make one body short, which takes less space, so that you can do justice to the other body of the answer. Because Abhi, I'll make you write this, and then I'll tell you to look at your time. And I assure you and promise you, you'll be able to complete this in 1.5 pages only, hardly. You will not take 2 pages and you'll be well within time. Dekho kaise, see. So what are the reasons for food inflation in India? First is demand. The second is supply. The third is climate. And the fourth is global factors. These are the main points. Now, what is the mistake? The mistake is we have not done this. We should. We have to do this to highlight. Otherwise, everything looks same. Ab dekho, see how we have explained. And then you will learn that, acha, we have to do this. Do you see a good literature and sort of decorated English language being written in the answer? How will you write that? There is no time, there is no space. So you have to write demand and then you have to write rising per capita income, taste and preference. If you try to write more than this, you can, there is no problem. But you won't be able to write the next part of the answer for sure, guarantee. Because the question is too much, demanding too much. Look at the next part, supply bottlenecks. Then you have to mention Dalwai Committee. This will be taught to you in your agriculture classes. That Dalwai Committee said that India wastes roughly 30 to 40% of its food grain because of storage and transportation. You have to take the name of the committee, you have to write some data. And then the third part is climate. Abhi, I'll tell you that why climate has to be written. You see, untimely rain, dry spell, temperature variation, and we have given example of tomatoes and onions in 23-24. Aapko pata hai from where did we write this point? Newspaper, current affairs. If you don't write this point, dry spell, this is a direct point from current affairs. That what is happening in India, earlier the dry spell or the dry phase during monsoon used to be 5 days. Now for 15 days, we don't get rain. For 1 month, we don't get rain. And all of a sudden, we start to get rain. So this kind of variation has started to affect our production. Global factors. India imports a lot of oil, palm oil. India imports a lot of pulses. When the global price rises, we get impacted. We have to control our emotion. We can't write more than this. Because I told you that body of the answer is hardly 2 to 3 marks in a 10 marker. Why should you write more than this? So this is your body. Achha, this is more technical in nature. So see how we are dealing with the technicality. Look very carefully, bacho. So here what is written? Effectiveness of monetary policy. And what are we writing? First, we have to tell what is monetary policy. Otherwise, you cannot write what is effectiveness. So in UPSC, if somebody asks you that will this policy or system work, immediately first you should do in one line, you should define what is that. So RBI uses 2 types of monetary policy. One is qualitative, one is quantitative. You read at least 10 answers or 20 answers available online or anybody writing this answer, you will not see this point. Nobody writes qualitative, but monetary policy is of 2 types. And you have to mention both because this question is asking, discuss the effectiveness of monetary policy. How can you not mention this? And the moment you skip this, marks gone for this part. So I have to be very careful. Dekho, see, in short, in symbols, how have we written this? And what are we writing in bracket? Mainly interest rate and money supply. No shortcuts, but no big literature or grammar as well. Very simple. And then what are we doing? Look at this. We took an arrow from here and we are writing limited impact. So we are saying that this RBI's policy creates a limited impact. Why? And then we wrote 2 very short points. And then we are writing this conclusion. However, food inflation leads to overall blah, blah, whatever it is. And then we are giving suggestion also that improve the storage, diversification and productivity. So first we wrote limited impact, that this policy will not work. Then we are writing what will work. So what did you notice here? This part is complicated, which means in answer writing, you will find 2 types of answers. One like Lok Adalat and arbitration, it's technical in nature. You will have to write which act of the parliament, how did it come into existence, whether it is looking at criminal cases, civil cases, what type of criminal cases, what is not covered, what is the new development in the arbitration. These things are super technical in nature. We cannot mess around with them. Similarly, this question is technical in nature, but poverty wala question was not technical. The poverty and the malnutrition question was not technical. So when it comes to technical questions, did you notice something? That we have to first read the question properly. And if 2 questions are being asked, one part of the question has to be written in a subtle manner. So what did we do? This part we wrote elaborately, but this part we played little smart and we said, thoda concise it. Otherwise, we won't be able to fit this. Ab kuch dikhata hu, let me show you the source. Since we are talking about GS paper 2 and 3, first I want to show you the source so that you should be confident that after you go from here today, Who will give you these points for different answers? From somewhere you should get these points. I want to show you that. So let's come and let's check what are the sources. So guys, this is GS paper 2. Look carefully. I think this side must be there in your handout. If you check now, I'll tell you the page number. And then I'll tell you the sources as well, so that from today you can start writing. Page number 2, page number 2nd. You can see page number 2nd and 3rd. Please open GS paper 2. I want to talk about GS paper 2 first. So guys, whatever highlighted portions in your page number 2nd and 3rd, you can see some highlighted portions will be there. Little highlights are there. So those, if it's not there, you can mark it. Yahin se mark karo, please mark it. Whatever is the highlighted portion, you can mark it from there. These are the places where you need to add current affairs. So when you are reading newspaper, your mind should run in that direction that, acha, today I read something related to structure and functioning conduct of business, power and privilege of parliament and state legislature. I read something. Okay, in current affairs, then you will recall that, oh, faculty has marked this. That in UPSC, if you get a question from this part, current affairs has to be added. So please highlight this. All the highlighted parts, current affairs are required. You please mark these bullet points specifically. Yes, you can. Specifically in these points, current affairs will be required. मैं दिखाता हूं आपको, I'll show you. So for example, see this, बच्चों. Let's read this point. This is UPSC syllabus. Let's read this bullet. It says, separation of power between various organs. Right? It's mentioned in your UPSC syllabus. Look at the next part. Dispute redressal mechanism and institutions. Directly question was asked from here in UPSC 2024 GS paper 2. The Lok Adalat question and the arbitration tribunal. It was asked from here only. Look at the next part. Ye dekhiye. From where was the question asked? You please go to that part on page number 3rd only, where governance is written, GS paper 2. Just above governance, do you see a point which says issues relating to poverty and hunger? Can you see that? That was the question in UPSC 2024 GS paper 2. Issues related to poverty and hunger. What did you observe? Did you observe? And if you look at GS paper 2, 2023, 2022, 2021 mains, last 6 to 7 years of mains, I'll show you what you'll observe. You'll observe that what they do is they pick up these phrases from here, they attach 1 or 2 extra words, question created. But how to solve it? By putting less efforts, by putting precise and targeted efforts. How do you do answer writing? मैं दिखाता हूं आपको. Today, I want some solution for you. See. This is the Vajiram yellow book. I rarely bring yellow books or any book in the class to refer to, but when it comes to GS paper 2, there is nothing better than this. I can vouch for it. You read it, you will say the same. So this is Vajiram yellow book. मैं दिखाता हूं how to read this, because there is a way to read it. And then you will say that, okay, this is how to prepare. And you do not need any help. Just your GS classes, you follow this along with something which I'm going to show, and your answer will be almost at par with the best answers. मैं दिखाता हूं. See, look at this, please. Look at the index. Governance, this is not given because you will get Vajiram yellow book. So you look at the syllabus, what is mentioned here in the Vajiram yellow book of governance. So it's there, governance, then you can see transparency and accountability. Then you can see what is the meaning of e-governance. Show me one UPSC exam, mains, where question from e-governance has not been asked in last 5 years. Every year, one question from e-governance, guaranteed. And then you have see citizens charter. Last year, this question was asked. And then you can see social audits. 2 years back, the question was asked from there. Look at the way the yellow book has been created. See. And then you will see rural development, urban development, development of and management of health. Then you can see development and management of education, human resource development. So what did they do? They connected poverty and hunger, malnutrition with human resource development. And then you can see the last part. It's not a bulky book, it's a great book. Gig economy, development and voluntary sector, poverty and hunger. This was connected with this topic in UPSC. So 2 topics were connected. And last way you have the role of civil services in democracy. Ab dekho, see how to read this. Now, I'm going to show something. This will make you really happy. See this, please, PIB. Look at the date. 15th Jan 2024. And this question of poverty, in hunger, etc., malnutrition, that came in 2024 mains last year. This was released in January. Let's see what is mentioned. It says 24.82 crore Indians escaped multidimensional poverty in last 9 years. But 10 years में we have been able to reduce poverty by 25 crore. 25 crore people jumped out of poverty in India in 10 years. This is that report. These are the details. And these are the details related to poverty. 3 pages will be able to write all the details. I'll show you how to use 3 pages with a diagram, with picture, with explanation. And here the list of schemes are given. You see? So the list of schemes, for example, it says National Food Security. I see National Food Security, Pradhan Mantri Garib Kalyan Anna Yojana, Ujjwala Yojana, Swachh Bharat Mission, Jal Jeevan Mission. Everything is mentioned. And Government of India has said, listen to it very carefully what government is saying. Government is saying we are using these schemes to reduce poverty. Ab in UPSC, if they ask you which schemes have been used by Government of India to reduce poverty in last 10 years, what will you write? Will you write some old outdated textbooks? Do you need to go to market and buy any course, any program, any book, anything for that matter? Nothing is required. You take Vajiram Yellow Book on governance, the basics are there. You supplement it with this kind of 2 pages and done. You can start actually answer writing of the PYQs, because the yellow book gives you the basic and this part gives you the current affairs, and you are done. You are ready to go. And that's how I framed the answer. Deliberately, I got the source for you today because I wanted to show you that if I were you and if I have to start answer writing, you know what I will do? First of all, I will immediately open Vajiram governance book, etc., because this is the book which I really like. So what I'll do is I'll open this book and I will open a chapter called as Poverty and Hunger. This chapter, this I will open, and then I will read this 1, 2, 3, 4. After reading this, I will Google PIB news related to poverty. Immediately I'll see that PDF. I'll download it. From there, I will note down some points and I will add it in the yellow book. My notes are ready for next year mains, which I have to write. Then I will open last 5 years of mains question GS paper 2 only related to poverty, malnutrition and hunger. And then I will try to see that based on what was shown to me today, I have given you some sample answers in your handout, one which we exercised today. Based on that, I will try to see that can I frame answer related to what was told to me by the faculty, the basic answer. Today, I did not give you the best of answer. Today, I gave you an answer which you can start with for next 3 months. After 3 months, when we again have a workshop, I'll tell you how to take the level 1 step ahead. But this is the beginning. In the beginning, one should not jump. In the beginning, one should learn how to stand. I'm giving you total jugaad that without any extra help, what to do? Take the yellow book, read a topic from here, Google PIB. You don't need ChatGPT here. You just need to do the PIB. And I showed you the source. And then from there, to update, try to solve last 5 years of mains question, write the answer and show it to your concerned faculties. Whosoever faculty is teaching you GS paper 2, etc., you can go to them and you can show them your answer and tell them that please evaluate my answer. I have written a structure. And what should be the focus of your marking? You tell the faculty that please help me in marking the introduction, conclusion, content, and presentation. This is the standard in which the answers are marked across India. So as per my experience of having gone to various universities in India, I have seen that the best of universities in India, they give you marks based on these components: introduction, the content, the presentation, and the conclusion. This is common. So I presume that UPSC evaluators, etc., are also a part of our education system only. So I don't know them personally, but what I can tell you is that whatever is the best practice that is followed in universities will be followed in UPSC. They will not follow any bad practice. So that is my confidence. That's another thing that in this year's answer sheet, answer key that they have provided today, they have struck off 3 questions. And that's another thing. And one of the answers that they have given, I don't have confidence over that answer. The answer related to the mining and the exploration part, I'm not very confident on the answer they gave, and I have my reasons. So because if you check NCERT, it gives you different answers, same question, the mining and quarrying part. NCERT gives another answer, MOSPI gives another answer, budget and survey gives another third answer. So all the 3 are giving different answer of the same question. So that's why there is a problem. And I believe that a UPSC kind of exam, the questions that they are asking should not have any gray areas, because it might affect your career. So I believe that the question, UPSC team or whosoever frames the question should be a little more careful, because it is about your life. and we might lose out on somebody who is a deserving candidate in case of these kind of questions, and we don't want that. So look at this, please. As I was telling you, today I'm not here to discuss prelims, I'm here to discuss mains. So I thought I'll share my jugaad with you. The jugaad is no escape from hard work that you will have to do. But if you follow this strategy, I promise you, after your GS classes, you do not need any other class or anything. Just go with this, it will help you. In case it doesn't happen, then you wait for the next workshop or you can take help. But if you can go with this, you don't need extra help. So poverty, you read from here, then PIB. Chalo, ek aur cheez. Let me show you one more thing from PIB. It will make you happy. Read this, please. And so see the date, July 2024. Read this. Government initiatives to ensure nutrition equity in India. What is this? From policy to practice, implementing food security measures in top of form, bottom of form, whatever it is. But this is the real one. Government initiatives to ensure nutritional equity. And where have they mentioned it? PIB. Ab dekho. Let me show you what beautiful thing they have given. It says India's food security program gives diversity, etc. Then comes the real part where they are saying that some of the government schemes to improve malnutrition are these schemes. Read the schemes: National Food Security, Pradhan Mantri Garib Kalyan. Then here they have mentioned Poshan, they have mentioned Antyodaya Anna Yojana. Look at the descriptions. How beautiful. It's a ready-made answer. It's beautifully written. And then I'll show you something interesting also. Here they have talked about inflation, how inflation affects the poor when they buy food. And here they have written from crisis to confidence. And this conclusion, it's a ready-made answer. You don't need anything after this. So take the yellow book, take this ready-made answer, supplement, solve PYQs, and you are ready. But the only thing that you will have to do is the timeline which I told you, that introduction 30 words, conclusion 30 words, then timing, etc. That has to be maintained. So what do you need to do? It's ready-made kind of answers available. You don't need to look for anything beyond this. This reduces your effort. Or let me show you more. Read this question, please. This will make you super happy. This is last year's question, mains question. Read this, please. Did we try this question today? Yeah, where is the answer? Page number 94. Economic Survey 23-24. Matlab last year's economic survey, which just came before mains. This economic survey was released in July last year. Read this, please. What is it saying? Same. It says reasons for price pressure in major food items. There's your answer. Let me show you more so that I can tell you the consolidated source. This is last year's mains question. It says discuss the merits and demerits of 4 labor codes in the context of labor market reform. What has been the progress so far in this regard? It's talking about labor codes, labor reforms, and it is saying what is the good side, what is the bad side. And they're saying what is the progress that has happened. See what will happen, how to answer this type of question. See, how to start your answer. Introduction. Economic Survey 23-24. Let me show you how to write the intro. Page number 286. Let's see what a beautiful introduction has been given. This is what we can actually write in GS paper 3 also. It says labor is a state subject. So it says labor as a subject, not concurrent, sorry. Labor is a concurrent subject where state governments also make laws, center also makes laws. And there they have discussed, let me tell you the summary. There they have discussed that center has given a guideline in terms of labor code, but some state governments have resisted. Because it's a concurrent subject, so state governments also make laws. Center makes the guidelines. State government makes the final laws. That, okay, what will be applicable in my state? This is the tussle. So based on this tussle, a report was written in the economic survey that what are the good things, what are the bad things, and where it is stuck between center and state. The federal polity made it get stuck in between, so we are not getting the result. Ab see, so labor as a subject is in the concurrent list of the constitution. Under the code, the power to make rule has been entrusted to center. Center makes the rule, but appropriate government and state government, center, state, and all the governments like union territories, they have the power to make rules, but ultimately final implementation is in the hand of the state. And that is what they are writing that later on, that because the state governments are not agreeing to what center is saying, there is a deadlock. That question which was asked, what is the good side? Good side is reform has come. Bad side, center-state relation is deciding everything. And in poor labor is stuck in between. So look at this. India has a higher overtime wage premium. Look at this. Systematic barriers to job opportunities for women. This is all labor reforms. So according to the new labor reforms, the rules have been designed in such a way that women find it's very difficult to enter some kind of jobs. I'll give an example to you. Center has said, don't create discrimination in the entry of women in the industry. Some of the states, I won't name them, so it's there in this economic survey. Some of the states have made a rule that if it's a chemical industry, I will not allow the women workforce to enter. Right? Which means that biotechnology, she cannot enter, plastic industry, she cannot enter, chemical, hydrocarbon, she cannot enter. Problem. Where the other states are saying, yes, there is no problem in our state. So in one country, there is so much of discrimination. There is no standard. This is what is written. And center says, what is happening in my country? Because the state at least should be at the same level. So if I'm a woman, I want to work in biotechnology, I will have to go to neighboring state. Migration will happen. So these are the kind of things which are mentioned in this year's last year's economic survey. From there, this question was asked. So if somebody is asking you a question on labor code, how will you start? Constitution. That what is the provision of the constitution, what is mentioned in the constitution, and why is there a deadlock? Is there a you can start the introduction. So sometimes you get introduction from these sources also. I'll tell you the importance of survey and budget. Ye dekhiye, one more question. This will make you super happy. It looks like a question which is from science. Question says, what is the present world scenario of intellectual property right with respect to life materials? Although India is second in the world to file patents, still only a few have been commercialized. Explain the reason behind less commercialization. So India is a developing country. We design new things, but we never register those things in our name. So when somebody opens a new company, creates a new design like flying car, you want to register the flying car in your name. We are not doing that. Why? What has happened to us? Page number 245, Economic Survey 23-24. Now see. So first of all, the survey gives a context and says, research and development expenditure in India is very low, 0.64%. This becomes the introduction of the answer. That research and development expenditure is very low. Answer done. Introduction done. Context. Now the body of the answer. Let's read this. It says, as a mark of India's ascent to high quality research, the country climbed. We are doing good, but then if you read, it says, we have not been able to, this was the page, we have not been able to achieve new designs, new formulas because we are very reluctant. Neither government spends the money nor private sector spends the money. After some point, we become lazy. We start with a lot of josh that, yes, I have opened an industry, I'll do new things. And after that, we don't spend money. Where do we spend the money? Marketing, in organizing events, like music shows, creating Instagram reels. That's it. Real work we don't want to do, right? So that is what answers. And that is your first lesson of today's answer writing session. I focused today on timing part. So if you missed out the timing part, you should open the video again and note down the timing part. That, okay, introduction, how many minutes, etc. The second part today, I focused on introduction, that what should be the kind of introduction. Third part is the source, that for GS paper 2 and 3, what should be a life savior for you. So for GS paper 2, I'm telling you that Vajiram's yellow book, the best. You read anything, and then you show to me that is there anything which is much better than Vajiram Yellow Book? You will not find. It's one of the best. So you will definitely get it if you have enrolled. Even if you have not, you can get it. So it's not that I'm promoting a book, etc. This is something which I will never do in a workshop. I won't waste your time like this. But genuinely, it's one of the best. So you should read it. And number 2, I told you how to supplement it. 2 sources. One is PIB. Just Google PIB. You will get ready-made notes. And the second source is Economic Survey and Budget. So if I were you, what will I do in the Economic Survey and Budget? I'll download the PDF. If I'm writing an answer on poverty, what will I do? I'll put in the search bar the word poverty. And I'll keep checking that where is poverty given. And I'll find that in entire economic survey in 4 pages it is given. I'll read the 4 pages. Done. And if I'm not able to understand, I'll ask my faculty. And what will I do? In my yellow book, GS paper 2, I'll update it. So what did I show you? Abhi, I want to show you 2-3 things more. Just to give you that confidence that yes, you can answer those questions. Ye dekhiye bachcho. Read this question. Read this question, please. This is 2023 UPSC question. Most unemployment in India is structural in nature. Then it says examine the method to compute unemployment. And the next question is discuss care economy. We might have felt in 2023 UPSC last year that wow, what a difficult question. It says measurement of unemployment, care economy, monetized economy, God knows what they are asking. And then you open economic survey. And then you read this. And then you see entire chapter on care economy, entire chapter on measurement of unemployment. You see, from here it starts. Care economy connected to women, measurement of work alongside employment. And then you come here and you see, oh, value of women's unpaid domestic work. That's care economy. And then I read this and I see, wow. And as you keep on reading, you see, role of self-help group in women, GS paper 2. Everything is there. You just have to take the content. So what is the first task that you will do? Take the content from the sources, original sources, which I told you, open last 5 years of paper, have this sample answer in front of you, which I told you, and you start writing your answer. Because today you learned what should be done, what should not be done, a few things. The overwriting of schemes, data, etc., not a good idea. I showed you Ayushman Bharat point, which we wrote in one line, but very powerful point. And all the other points were almost useless because we were writing too much of data. Here, look at this. What is the status of digitization in the Indian economy? That's it. 2023 UPSC mains question. Let's read this. Economic survey, page number 366. Story of digital public infrastructure. This paragraph was given and this was asked in the UPSC 2023. And this is the economic survey of 2023. This is that section which had to be written in the exam. So if I were you, and if I have to write the answer, I have to practice answer writing. What will I do? I'll make friends with Vajiram Ravi book, governance book, then PIB, and then I'll open the economic survey of this year from today itself when I go back home. I'll open last 5 years of GS3 and GS2. I'll start writing the answer. I'll write last 5 years of answer. And how will I shape my introduction? What is the best type of introduction? The best type of introduction is contextual. If nothing comes to mind, just connect it with constitution and DPSP. What is the body of the answer? In the body of the answer, this is something which you should have learned today. In the body of the answer, do not write, always do not write too much literature. Sometimes half literature, but it should make sense. Half of sentences also work because you don't have time. And in the conclusion, don't write lengthy conclusion, just like the positivities and the positive framework. Ye kya hai? Sources. What are the sources? The sources are newspaper, monthly magazine, you can pick from any institute. Compilation for mains, I just suggest something to you that you are going to write your UPSC next year, prelims. Abhi your seniors will write the prelims and after that they will write the mains. I suggest something to you that you go in the market just before the mains this year, go to bookstores or go online. Online, everything is available. And then you please download some PDFs which various institutes and people create, which is called as value added material. So for example, you will see value added material on agriculture. We also create it. So somebody creates a value added material on IR, polity, environment. You should download those things this year itself in 2025 Q, so that you will have an idea in those value added material that what has happened between 24 and 25. You will appear in the exam in 26. You can update it for yourself. So you will have 2 years of current affairs in your hand. And you will know the trend. Because whatever is happening between 24 and 25, drastically everything will not change. In most of the things, there will be incremental change. So if you have the value added material for this year, you can make incremental changes next year and you will be ready for the exam. Your answer writing will become very strong. So if I were you, I'll go in the market in the month of August. I will buy some value added material or I'll download the PDF if I want to read the soft copy. And then I will integrate those points in my answer writing. So this is something which I'll do. So that is one. And next is economic survey and budget plus some data is required. Ministry annual reports. This comes in the month of December every year. So, for example, if you ask me that how do I update myself for various ministries like banking, finance, agriculture, health, education, how do I do that? I wait for the December report of every ministry. Every ministry releases the December report. And let me share a trick with you. Those December reports are hardly changed by 10% to design the economic survey. So if you read the December report, you are literally preparing the economic survey and the budget. Literally, economic survey at least prepared. So December is the most important time for you, December 2025. And I suggest that for ministries, Ministry of Agriculture and Farmers Welfare, Ministry of Food Processing, and Ministry of Finance. These are the three ministries that you should definitely read the reports. The other ministries' ka reports in the economic survey you can read. But these three, I suggest strongly you do it in December. It will take the pressure off you. Ministry of Agriculture and Farmers Welfare. Number two, Ministry of Food Processing Industry and Ministry of Finance. These three, without doubt, you should read the reports. And the summary will be hardly 20 pages, 10 pages, something like that. And then PIB. PIB should be your friend. So you would have noticed that I did not write Yojana and Kurukshetra. I am replacing it with PIB. Because these days, even if you don't read it in the raw form, somewhere you will get it in the summarized form and you can use it. So what you can do is, instead of using too much time for Yojana and Kurukshetra, I would use that time in reading economic survey budget as well as PIB compilation. These days, PIB gives theme-based notes, which are really awesome. So this I think that you can do. So this is my suggestion to you. So now tell me, is there anything? And as I told you that maybe in a month or two, we'll meet again to look at the next part of the answer writing, where I can tell you value additions. Today, I wanted to keep it basic so that you should know the ABC of answer, where to start, which sources, basic things. So tell me, what bothers you in answer writing? Is there anything that I can tell you separately from what I have already discussed? So you guys tell me, you also tell me, and to my students on the YouTube, you also write your questions. How to approach the weekly answer writing program given to us? So what you can do is follow the same sources. Please do not follow any other source other than the Vajiram yellow books that you have got so far. Because even if you read other sources, it will hardly make a difference of 10%. For that 10%, I will not change my source. So the yellow books, the PIB, and from there, I should write the content of the weekly answer writing. That's it. And if I'm not able to write any answer, I'll skip it. And I will know that later on the content will be done to me. I can easily write it. So that's another thing. Okay, please bring it down. Could you please discuss resources for current affairs part? Current affairs part, I've already told you, PIB and the yellow book and economic survey and budget done together. Thank you so much for those of you who are leaving. You are very patient, and I hope that you can apply a few things in your answer writing from today. Should do answer writing after getting certain level of knowledge. Guys, I strongly suggest that do not wait for the day when you get the right knowledge. That day never comes. You are learner. Every day you should have that hunger for knowledge. So I suggest whatever questions you can write from today, start writing the answer. And just the way you evaluated me today, you were very brutal in evaluating. Be that brutal in the evaluation of your own answer. I'm telling you, you will be champs. So now you saw you can evaluate by yourself also. You are good in that. So yes, you can consider the daily PIB also. I struggle with ethics answer. Ethics answer separate workshop. With this ethics, the way you approach ethics is different. Online student kya got agree? Definitely you can. Compilations for main. So for example, what you can do is, like in Vajiram also, we do compilation for mains. I will put some handouts from Vajiram compilation on the portal. You can come and check. Okay, I'll do that. Mains answer writing program for, no, anybody can join it. There is no problem. If you want to join your answer writing program anywhere, you can join it. There is no issue. Consistency. If you are struggling with consistency, then you please make a schedule. And in that schedule, you should have weekly targets, not daily targets. Because daily targets, if you miss, it will create some psychological impact. So you should do the weekly targets.
Should you follow class notes? 100% yes. Class notes, yellow books, past year questions, and PIB. This should be your best friend for next 3 months. Please trust me, do not go for any other source. You do not have that time. And if you restrict your sources like this, your chances of qualifying in the first attempt becomes very high. This is the secret of qualifying in the less number of attempts. Restrict your sources, but write more, think more. uh, that will become difficult, but I can. Okay, fine, do it. I'll see what I can do. नीचे कर दीजिए message. And to my YouTube students, what should we follow for the constitutional part for writing answer? You can follow any textbook that you are using currently, any reference book, and I know of two. So, as I told you, first is Vajiram Yellow Book. If not, then you have Lakshmi Kant or Spectrum. You can follow any of the things. But for governance, the Yellow Book has no substitute. And for the polity part, you can follow those books. In every question, diagram is demanded. No. But in every question, if you draw a small flowchart, it saves time and space. It gives a message to the examiner that the person knows the question and person knows something about it. So diagram and flowchart, if it is very simple, it saves space and it gives the message to the examiner that you are in control. It shows control actually, so you should use it. Now, Anurag, very soon, June first week, okay, separate video on workshop for ethics. Of course, yes. Constitutional part done. Importance of handwriting. It is important. The examiner should be able to see. I'll share a secret with you, so can't reveal the name of the person, but a very famous professor in a university in India, very senior. So he designs a lot of courses in many big universities of India. I just got a chance long time back to discuss with him about how the markings are done. So he was telling me that handwriting is important to the extent that a professor or evaluator should be able to read and understand. That's it. So he says if your handwriting is very good also, you will not get extra marks. If it is bad, marks will not be deducted. But if I'm not able to understand what you wrote, then I might feel that I should deduct a few marks, and the next question will reflect marks deduction because negative sentiment will develop. So directly you will not see the impact, but indirectly it might be there. So, but direct impact is not there. So one of your friend is asking that should the whatever I told you, the lessons be limited to GS paper 2? No, but I see that GS paper 2 and 3 have a lot of commonalities in their sources. So I believe that those papers, areas which are common between 2 and 3 should be done first. So if I were you, I would do poverty, malnutrition, health, education, rural development, urban development, governance. These parts I'll do first because these parts require a lot of introspection. So trust me on this, guys. If you start with GS paper 2, your 3 will become good. Despite the fact that I specialize in GS paper 3, but I'm advocating GS paper 2 because one should not do what you like. It will not fetch you marks. You should do something which will increase your marks in the exam. Always start with GS paper 2 because it sets a tone for GS paper 3. I'll give an example. In GS paper 3, suppose a question on labor reform is asked and I have no idea that what part of constitution talks about labor and labor reforms. My answer in GS 3 will be weak. But if I know where labor as a subject, where health and education as a subject has been mentioned in constitution, my marks in GS 3 will also improve. So that is why always start with GS paper 2. Make GS paper 2 your best friend. Your 3 will become one of the best friends. But don't start with 3, always with 2. So what should I do to answer writing? If you are very new to the subject, this is your first workshop of any sorts of answer writing, your focus should be to first gather some content which I told you in the class, then look at last 5 years of question and only focus on writing good introduction and conclusion for some time. The body can be improved later on with more maturity. That's why today I did not emphasize a lot on body of the answer, because I know that I'm not making this workshop or creating the video for people who have written UPSC 4-5 times. I'm doing it for beginners, and I know that today you might not be very rich in content, but at least introduction and conclusion you can think of. Content ke liye I have told you the jugaad, that what are the things that you should do for content, so that if you need another answer writing session with more content in hand, if you have the content, I can come to you again with an answer writing session where I can give you more things about what to do in the body of the answer. Today I did not, because I feel that you need more content first. Then we can play with the content. Like I could have played with the inflation question, but I could not, because many of you have not studied that part. Similarly, I wanted to play more with the judicial system. I wanted to give you more questions on that. But once you do the content the way I have told you, promise me one thing, that you will complete your governance from Yellow Book and PIB for some time. I will meet you again, maybe in 15-20 days. If you complete this task, I'll meet you again. Prepare some topics so that when we meet in the class, prepare the first 6 topics or 5 topics, 5 units from Vajiram Yellow Book governance part. We'll meet and we'll do some questions. So that ways we can do. Uh, is there a need to read the newspaper after the analyst given by Vajiram? 100% yes. I think that if you are watching the Vajiram analyst videos, after that also 4 articles from the newspaper should be read every day. One economy article, one IR, one polity, and one editorial. 4 articles without fail, like you breathe and take oxygen. You should do these 4 articles every day. Talk to anybody who qualifies UPSC, they will tell you they never miss out on reading newspaper. Why? It gives you the pattern to think. It makes you a good speaker, a good writer. Your answer writing capability will develop. You should definitely do that. So how can I check my answer online? There is no problem. Praveen, you can join any kind of answer writing evaluation program anywhere in India. It does not matter. But get your answers evaluated after 2-3 months. For 3 months, I suggest that you please do self-study. You write your own answer. And since you evaluated mine, I'm assuming you know how to evaluate answer. That is the reason I made you do it. So don't tell me you don't know how to evaluate. You are very good in that. You were very brutal. You gave me very low marks. So I think you can do it. Thank you so much, guys. So this is what you should do. Economics survey uploaded on the portal. If you are my 2024 batch student, 24-25, you have already seen my economic survey and videos, budget videos. And if you're my smart current affairs student, you have seen it. I gave you almost like 8-10 videos. Similarly, next year also I'll make the videos. Every year I do make videos on economic survey, budget and current affairs, etc. So if you are watching those videos, you don't need anything else. But if you are not enrolled in any GS program in Vajiram or current affairs, then the method for you would be that this is the strong method which I suggest, and you don't need any help from anyone. You can do it. Just open the PDF of the economic survey, mention the keyword, search it. You will get 3-4 pages, read it, and have confidence in yourself that you are in a position that you can understand those 3-4 pages. I don't see a problem. Easily kar sakte ho. How to study crops per day? Simple. So if I were you, what I'll do is jugaad for agriculture. I'll make a list of all the crops which is covered in the MSP, 22 crops plus 123. And every day I will study one crop properly, that what is the soil condition, temperature, rainfall condition, in which area it is grown, whether we export it or not, and has the production increased or decreased. This I will do for 23 crops. I'll be ready for the exam. Prelims ke liye to I'll be ready. For mains, little bit more, but this is the jugaad. I can assure you one thing. Open last 10 to 15 years of UPSC question related to agriculture. Whatever crops they have asked, 90% question they ask from the crop is from MSP crops. And remaining 10% is from the crops in news. But 90% it is MSP. And about the Lakshmikant, if you are trying to read, I suggest that you start from the fundamental rights, DPSP, then amendment to the constitution, parliament, then you should go for judiciary, and then you should come back and do the prime minister, chief minister, governor, etc., and president. This is the sequence that you should follow, and after that you should directly jump onto the Vajiram Yellow Book for governance. For medieval history and ancient history, yellow books, great source, because they all also contain the NCRTs. In fact, for ethics, history, culture, and governance, the yellow books are one of the best sources. You can definitely spend money in the market to buy books, won't help. These are some of the best sources. And if you're reading Spectrum also, as some of you mentioned, that's a good one. There's no problem. All right. So thank you so much. And we'll have another session. Thank you, guys. Take care. Thank you so much.